Good morning, Mo. How are you? Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Um, wow, what a morning. Um, yeah. Mo and I were talking on the phone this morning, and she was telling me about the new audio that had been released. Guys, I want to warn you there are a lot of trigger warnings in the audio. There are a lot of trigger warnings. Um, there are things that we suspected, but we didn't have proof of. So, um, I've been debating something on whether or not I even want to play the audio or if we can just talk about, yeah, everyone remembers self-care is the best care. But no, Mo, it's been upsetting to me too, and I've been debating on whether or not I even want to play it. It is like 50 minutes long. Hey, Capri. Oh, girl, that's okay. You just be safe, okay? Um, we can just talk about it. I think that's the best. Um, to hear the cops debating on semantics of the wording that was being used. And guys, I do have my TV playing in the background. My husband's off work today, and he is home. Hey, Alex, thank you so much for being here. Um, I do have my TV on in the same room that I'm doing this in. So if you can hear it, just let me know. I've turned it down, but my husband's home from work, so I don't want to interfere with his life anymore. Than necessary with doing what I'm wanting to do. So trying to be fair all the way around. But to hear those police officers playing semantics on the wording, looking up the code, basically trying to decide if Gabby was going to be arrested when they have two 911 calls saying that Brian was hitting her, locked her out of the vehicle. They didn't even ask for a registration to that vehicle. What's the first thing that normally happens when you're pulled over for anything? Anything. They want to see license, registration, and proof of insurance. My husband got pulled over because he forgot to put his seatbelt on when he pulled out of a parking lot. He was asked for license, registration, proof of insurance. And those cops failed big time. No wonder the chief has taken, I saw one report that the chief had taken a leave of absence. I saw one report that the chief had resigned. No wonder. They all need to go. And I have a feeling with Gabby's family, they're not through with them yet. They knew the 911 call, he hit her, and they did see her marks. Exactly, Mo. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The first few minutes of that was enough for me. Now, I watched it on Jay is for Justice. I'm just going to tell you where I watched it from. And I watched her comments. And I saw, people will tell you timestamps to go to to see certain views. And I would click and fast forward to the timestamps because I couldn't watch it all. There was no way. For those of you that are interested, I did put it in the description for the video, but I'm going to put it right there. That's that will go to Fox 13 Tampa um, website, and that's where the video was uploaded to. And I'm like Mo, the first few minutes of it was enough for me. It was enough. Gabby was terrified. And I know hindsight's 2020 in these types of situations, but can you imagine if they had left that park ranger alone with her, the female park ranger, if they had left her alone with Gabby longer, what Gabby might have opened up and said to her? We all know someone or have been someone that have been in a domestic situation. The number one thing that they do is protect their abuser. They all do it. They are all going to do it. They're going to say it was my fault. I did this. I shouldn't have did this. I should have done something differently. He or she is mad at me because I did this. It's my fault. And that's exactly what Gabby was doing in that video. Gabby had her phone in the back of the patrol car. How I wish she she did place a phone call, but it's kind of hard to tell who she was talking to. I wish, yeah, this 42 minutes, but Mo, that was the only one that I could find that was the whole one. I mean, where's the entire one that because I don't want to get struck for using another creator's information. That was the only one that I could find. Let me look again and make sure, okay? I'm pulling it up, guys, to see if I can find. Hey, HMH. Yes, there. Last night or sometime during the night, there was new body cam footage released of the from Utah where Brian and Gabby were pulled over, and it opens up even more light that they considered Gabby the abuser in that situation. That's disgusting. Yeah, the fox is the one that I linked, but I'm looking back to see if I can find more. Okay, guys, I am looking back to see if I can find more. It is disgusting behavior. It absolutely is. They did not. First of all, they kept referring to the vehicle as Brian's vehicle. It was not Brian's vehicle. The vehicle was registered and belonged to Gabby. Wait, guys, I found it. I found the entire one. Wait, and I will change it in my footage. I will change it in the description after this is over with to give proper credit. Okay, this is the entire one. Like I said, I couldn't watch the entire one. The I'm. Let me give y'all a huge, huge, huge heads up. This is a major trigger warning. Okay, major, major trigger warning. This was NBC New York that actually posted the entire thing. Good morning, Rose. How are you? We're just discussing the new audio, Rose. It's such a trigger warning that I'm hesitant to even play it all. Just the fact that there's finally proof out there. Okay, the one cop left the scene to go quote unquote talk to witnesses. He did not go meet with both witnesses, from my understanding. There were two 911 calls played. He went to talk to one of the witnesses. One. Not both of them. Not both of them that said they saw Gabby being assaulted. They saw Gabby being locked out of her vehicle. And I'm trying to be very, very cautious because I don't want anyone triggered in here. I really do not. I'm just telling you, I don't. Um, when you have lived through, excuse me, a domestic assault, anything can trigger those feelings back. And I don't want that. But I will say, after watching what I did of the video, yeah, I wonder that too, Gabby. I mean, Mo, I wonder why they didn't show that of Gabby of it all. It is sad. The other one, yeah, only one was spoken to. The other one was in writing, and he said, or that witness said that Brian slapped Gabby, slapped her, laid hands on her, hurt her. And this morning when I was driving to get my lab work done, Mo and I were talking about this. Little side note, I was on hands free, so don't nobody come for me for talking on my cell phone while driving. Thank you so much, Mo. I appreciate that. Don't nobody come for me about talking on my phone while I'm driving. Hands free. I have all controls on my steering wheel. Okay. I started the call before I ever pulled out of the parking lot. Don't come for me. But anyway, Mo made a comment to me that really struck out to me, stuck to me. All of Gabby's injuries, her cuts, her scrapes, and everything were on her left side. Hey, Rita. Um, I know, Rose, but you know people on YouTube are going to come for somebody because they're on the phone while driving. Now, I didn't have the cell phone in my hand. I didn't place a call while I was driving. Even if I wanted to place a call while I was driving, it's literally one button push on my steering wheel and speak just like I'm speaking to someone in my car. I'm just saying. But anyway, Mo told me all of her injuries were on the left side of her body, which would indicate that Brian was slapping at her or hitting her because she was in the passenger side of the van. So, yeah, I don't understand why he didn't go to jail. Don't understand it. The cop went back to his patrol car and looked up the Utah code for domestic violence. He wasn't doing it. Yeah, he slapped her before she got in the van also. That but anyway, he looked up the Utah code for domestic assault, domestic violence. He wasn't doing it to see if he had grounds to arrest Brian. He was doing it to see if he could have enough evidence to arrest Gabby. He told his partner that had arrived on the scene to separate them and ask uh, questions to basically see what he could get her to admit to. If she had said certain words, she would have went in handcuffs. And how Brian was all laughing and giggly and all of that. Dude, you've got issues. And when Gabby's dads, I didn't say dad, I said dads, fathers, plural. When they get their hands on this video, you better hope Dog the Bounty Hunter catches you. You better pray that the cops catch you. Their goal was to arrest Gabby. Absolutely, their goal was to arrest Gabby. 100% without a doubt, their goal was to arrest Gabby. And that is so sad. Hey, Alicia. Girl, I'm so glad to see you. But their goal was absolutely to arrest Gabby. They should have followed the law. They absolutely should have followed the law. JV, first of all, I'm not monetized. Sorry, Rose, slipped out. God forgive me. Okay, okay, just a minute. Let me get it. I'm getting the link. Just a second, girl. I love you too, Rose. Yes, they sure did, Mo. Sure did. There you go, Alicia. Just let me know when you're ready, girl. Thank you, Rose, for saying that. Yes, guys, please understand I'm not monetized. I'm doing this strictly to bring awareness to Gabby's case, strictly for it. Even if I were monetized, if I made any money off of it, I would donate it to Gabby's fund. Thank you, Mo. I appreciate that. And domestic violence. Exactly right. I would donate it to those two causes. There you are,
Hi.
girlfriend. How are you?
I have really bad reception, so sorry if I lose you and I can't see chat, but I just wanted to like let everyone know I didn't forget about you guys. I will be back hopefully tomorrow so we could tell you, I don't
Yay!
know, tell everybody what's going
I've
on
got a
and
really good idea for a live for your channel.
all right. I just miss you all so much too. I was like,
We miss
oh,
you too, girl. It doesn't
I
feel
will be
right without my
there.
sidekick.
What's going on with the case? Because I haven't even been able to look.
Um, well, they last night or during the night sometime they released a second the unredacted audio, and they uh they released the unredacted audio of the Utah Police Department, and it's like 50 something minutes long, and they admit in there that they do have witnesses to domestic violence. You know, that the police were called. Oh, wait a minute. She hit exit by accident. Let me drop her the link again. There you go, sweetie. Just whenever you're ready, okay? Hey, MP, how are you? Hey, my sweetheart, thank you for being here. Guys, while we're waiting for Alicia to come back to join us, please hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would greatly appreciate it. Like I was saying before, guys, I am not monetized. Hey, Incognito, thank you for being here. But even if I was, it's really not any of anyone's business, first of all. And second of all, everyone has the opportunity to start a YouTube channel. Third, I would donate the money, any money that I made, to either Gabby's foundation or to domestic violence awareness. So, there, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Hey, Joey. Yeah, everything is great. I hope you're doing well, Joey. I really do. Joey, I love seeing your name pop up. I do. I just want you to know that. That warms my heart that when I see your name pop up. Um, Alicia may not be able to join us back, so I'll finish what I was saying. Alicia, if you're listening, there's a 52-minute audio that was released by the Utah Police Department, and in it, it is admitted that they had two 911 calls related to Gabby in this incident, that Gabby was being assaulted. They never asked for license, registration, and proof of insurance, which would have told them that the van belonged to Gabby. It did not belong to Brian. Gabby even told them in the video that at one point he was trying to lock her out of the vehicle, which I'm going to tell you, being a woman, if that were my vehicle, that would have ticked me off too. That's her property. You don't lock someone out of their own property. Hey, you see, boss. Then the police officer left. The main responding officer left the scene and told, basically he had looked up the code for domestic violence in Utah, word for word. They were trying to ask trigger questions to Gabby to get her to say just the right words so they could arrest her for domestic violence. And at, on the scene, other than the female park ranger, Gabby didn't have anyone on her side. I'm just going to say it. She didn't. It's very sad. No, and Brian never corrected them that it wasn't his van either. I mean, I've driven a vehicle before that belonged to my parents. And, had car trouble, and the cop stopped us to help me or whatever. And he said, "Is this your vehicle?" And I said, "No, it belongs to my parents." Natural reaction if you have nothing to hide. Yes, as you admit to the police officer, this isn't your vehicle. Brian also never admitted to grabbing her face and cutting her cheek either. Exactly, Incognito. Exactly. Now, guys, I have debated on whether or not to play that audio on this channel. I decided not to, just because it is such a trigger warning. MP, if you will watch the new released that was released last night, and it's toward the end where the cop is in his patrol car. He said, "If she says certain words, it's cut and dry. We have no choice but to take her in." Maybe guys, this is the first time I've heard it. Maybe I misunderstood. I'm all for somebody telling me I misunderstood something. Please understand that, okay? It is gut wrenching to watch. That's why I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it on here. It's very trigger warning. There's plenty of places to watch it. I put the link where you can go watch it directly. I just don't want that. I just don't want to do that here. We can talk about it. You know what I mean? But guys, just think about what exactly they discussed. Heaven forbid what would happen if one of them came up murdered. Look what happened. Yeah. MP and Rose, I agree, and maybe I misspoke to what I was trying the point I was trying to get across. They weren't concerned about protecting Gabby is what I'm trying to say. Protecting Gabby. That's all I was trying to say. It didn't seem like that they were in a protecting Gabby mode. Oh, you're in my back area? Okay, Alicia. I didn't see it. No, girl, I don't see you. Here, let me drop the link again. I don't see you back there, girl. Yes, guys, they abuse victims. Of people in a domestic violence situation will usually do or say anything to make the aggressor seem like that they are innocent, that everything was the victim's fault. Everything was my fault. Well, I mean, MP, what I meant when I said that while ago was, yes, it does, Mo. It does. And that's when the one officer was looking it up. What I meant while ago, MP, and I think I misspoke, was um the officers didn't take into consideration that Brian could actually be the one in the wrong here. Hey, Alicia, you're on mute,
Hey.
girl. Hey, girl, there you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute a few times probably, but I'll be back if I'm not going nowhere. Um,
Okay.
how has everybody been and how's everything going?
Everything's going pretty good. We've missed you.
I miss you guys all so much too. I can't wait to come back and we could do a fun live and
Yeah.
I
Oh, you
can.
should have been on the other night with us. We had a what we did in high school type video at the
Oh
end of one of our
gosh.
lives. It was so much fun. I mean, we were laughing, hysterically laughing, but everyone needed it. Everyone needed it.
Yeah. I need a
We
laugh right
did.
now too.
Yeah.
I
You need to
could
call me
really.
in a little while.
Yeah. Um hold on. I don't think I could show back the cam, can I? If I turn my camera on. I'll give you guys a surprise as to
You turn
what's
that
going.
camera on, girl. Turn that camera on.
I know.
Y'all look.
Okay.
Look, 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 look. This is what Alicia has had for a surprise for us. Look.
It's been my secret.
This is Alicia's big secret. And guys, I want you to know, yes, I have known this. Alicia trusted me with the information, and I've kept it a surprise, kept it a secret. Um, this was her secret to tell. This was her surprise to tell. And Alicia, you want to tell us when he was born? Oh, she hit off. Let's try that again. Alicia, I dropped it again, sweetheart, whenever you're ready, okay? Y'all just bear with Alicia. As you can tell, she's got her hands full, okay? Yes, he is a little boy, guys. He is a little boy. And he was just born just a few days ago. That's why my little sidekick's been missing in action. And a little joke, um, I do believe they are both okay health wise. But we'll wait and see if Alicia, there she is. She's back. Hold on.
Hi
Oh,
guys, sorry.
Alicia, everyone's wanting to know that if you are okay, if you and the baby are
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, we're good. So, um, I guess we could talk about this tonight, but a little bit of like his reason why I lied about already having him is because everybody goes real life, and we're actually leaving the hospital now, so I'm already discharged and signed my paperwork and getting ready to
Oh,
leave.
yeah.
So, um, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna tell them because I didn't want people going real life and trying to find out this and that. You know what I mean? So
I understand, girl. I understand.
I'm I like I really sat there and watched them go real life. Woo! Do you hear that burp? Oh my
I heard
goodness.
that. Can
Okay,
you tell us
buddy.
his first name? Do you feel comfortable with
Yeah,
that, or had you rather wait?
yeah, that's your surprise for later. How about that? We'll leave a
Okay,
little
that's fine,
surprise.
girl.
I'll tell you how much he
That is
weighed.
just fine.
He was
We are so
pounds
proud.
8 pounds 15 ounces.
Wow.
Thank you guys. I'm trying to read chat. I'm sorry if I'm cutting out. Like there's really bad
You're just fine,
reception.
girl. Yeah.
But yeah, I have
Um,
we had to have I had to have emergency cesarean because he decided he wanted to be breech after like I don't know how what I've never had a baby flip like that before. Have you seen that or
my second child did that within when I was going in for my week to week appointments in between visits, my second child flipped like that, and he was breached at one point. And then they discussed scheduling a C-section or attempting to flip him back if he didn't flip on his own. And when I went back for my recheck, like the week later, he had flipped back on his own. But wow,
yeah, I wouldn't
Alicia,
wish
I'm
I
so
would not
excited for you.
I would not wish a cesarean on my worst enemy. The way I had it done, no way.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Do you mind if we
But
tell how they had to do it? Do you mind that, or you want that to be kept quiet?
I mean, if you want, you know the, I mean, you worked on the maternity ward, so you know. But it was I had
Guys,
to. My
Alicia
husband.
had to be put completely asleep. And for all you nurses out there know, when they put you completely asleep to do a C-section, they're not taking their time to get into the baby. They're getting to that baby as quick as possible because when they put mom asleep to give her the medicine, put her to sleep, uh, the baby also gets some of that medication. So they're cutting as
Yeah,
quickly as they can to get to that baby.
and I was fully dilated, and he was ready to come. Like, um,
Oh
it
my.
was all,
You
yeah,
didn't tell me that part. You may have, and our phones
yeah.
were cutting out. We've tried to talk on the phone a few times. Guys, I'm just going to tell y'all, okay? I know
This
this
is
is
the
getting
best
kind
I've
of off top,
gotten.
but yes, this is the best reception she's had since she's been to the
Mm.
hospital. Um, I sent her a text message at one point and I said, look, if I don't get to hear from you, I'm going to send Dog the Bounty Hunter looking for you. Like, I'm sending
I
out an
have so many
SOS.
messages to answer. I just haven't been able to get into them. And you know what is so weird? Waking up from anesthesia. Well, I was in shock because I was in so much pain. But I feel like I told them something about case discussion and Gabby Petito case. I was like so serious about it. I said, I remember this, and them just telling me, okay, okay. Like, I gotta talk to her. I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna have to ask my husband. He wasn't allowed in the room, but they told him though he was like, I don't know what she's talking about, but oh, you booked
That's
again.
funny. Alicia, we love you so much. You're so valuable to us, and we just want you and the baby as healthy as possible. And
Oh,
oh, she's been sending me
and
pictures, guys, of him, and I'm like, I just want some baby cuddles. I just want to
oh, he's
hold
so
him and cuddle
chubby.
with him. He's so precious. Oh. Yes, yes, Rita. This is the best news of this day and week. It really is. This is. I've been wanting so bad to be able to say these words, and I've held on and held on because it's okay, Alicia. You want to just try again whenever you're at home because I know you're trying to take care of the baby and everything. You want to just try? Yeah, we can talk later when you're home. Congratulations. Please text me when you're home and you feel up to it. Yes, we have all been so worried about you. We're so glad to know that mom and baby are both healthy. Um, guys, I don't mind to play a little bit. Yes, that would work. Yeah. She does have her hands full, guys. All right, let's just do this. Let me get this. Guys, please forgive me if I'm not able to play it all, okay? Please forgive me if I'm not able to get through it all. Trigger warning, this video, I don't even know, guys. I really don't know if I can really do this. It's sad to see Gabby and to know she was so close. Yeah, educational purposes, the video can help someone out there. That's true. All right, guys. It, we're going to do this, at least a little bit of it. Please remember there may be triggers within this video. If you need to exit out, please, hey, Sister Knives, please exit out at times and take a break for your self-care, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I will not be upset at you if you have to leave at any point during this, okay? I fully understand, okay? All right, let's do this. Let me get it pulled up here. Yes, self care is definitely the best care.
How's it going? How are you doing?
Good. Hey, we got a call about a male hitting a female and the two of them getting in this vehicle and taking off.
So I don't want to try and defend myself by saying anything here, but I pushed her away. She gets really worked up, and when she does, she swings, and she had her cell phone in her hand. So I was just trying to push her away. But Gabby, I'm talking about my fiance, right?
What's that? For fuel page medical, and let us know if we need to head that way. It's nothing more pressing than a figure. It's 10:14. At this point, they're going to get their ride to get there as far as being in traffic. And the quicker they get there.
Where's she at? In the back of your car?
He dealt with her. I don't know where he put her.
He's got some marks on this chin and his right eye.
Is she in my car?
Yes.
This isn't my car. Oh, she is in here. Yeah. Hey, how are you? My name's Eric. I'm with Moab Police. What's your name?
At web.com, you won't find the latest sports scores. But if you need to build an online
Gabby, how old are you?
I'm 22.
What happened? What's going on?
I'm just having a very stressed morning.
Yeah. Is this your husband or boyfriend?
My fiance.
Fiance? Is he a pretty good guy?
Yeah.
What happened over at Moonflower?
Well, I was just really stressed this morning trying to get a lot of work done, and I was apologizing to him. I had thrown a bunch of stuff in the back, and all our bags are back there. I was just apologizing. I was like, I'm sorry that I get so stressed out. I have OCD, and I was just like organizing stuff, and sometimes I just have a mean attitude, but I'm not trying to be mean about straightening things up and stuff. So I was just apologizing, but I guess I said it in a mean tone, and he got really frustrated with me, and he locked me out of the car and told me to go take a breather, but I didn't want to take a breather because I wanted to get going. We're out of water.
So it kind of made you more upset.
Yeah,
it didn't help calm you. It made you more upset.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
And so our goal was to come here and come refill our water.
Are you guys living out of the van right now on travels?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was just really.
So what happened after he locked you out? I told you to take a breather.
Well, he walked away to go take his own breather, but I wanted to sit in the car because all my stuff was in the car. I had none of my bag. I was working on something at the moment in the car, and he told me to just relax for a second, and I didn't want to relax, so I got really mad. I mean, I don't need to be mad.
Yeah, it happens. Then what happened?
And then I told him to drive and get water because I was really thirsty.
Yeah? Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like, did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
I'm not sure. It was a. I was just trying to get in the back of the car and his backpack was on the back. And got me.
So the backpack got you? So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him in the face.
You slapped him first? And then what, just on his face?
He kept telling me to shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
Just a couple.
And then what? And then his reaction was to do what?
I hung around him so I wouldn't slap him.
He just grabbed you?
Yeah.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be
He
honest.
grabbed my face, I guess. He didn't like hit me in the face. Like he didn't like punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, like he like grabbed me like with his nail, and I guess that's why it looks. I definitely have a cut right here because I can feel it.
Yeah.
When I touch it, it burns. But
Okay. So has he been drinking?
no, we don't drink.
Okay. What was up with his driving? This officer said he hit a curb
I
while you're driving.
well, he was driving.
While he was driving, you were hitting him.
Not a lot, but yeah.
But that was distracting him while he's driving. Are you
Not only for like a second, no, because I saw the lights come on, and I like kind of like.
Did you already tell him all this?
I didn't get that far into
Okay,
it.
so-
She was hyperventilating.
She's
a
saying
little
that they don't drink, but at the point when you lit them up,
You don't drink or anything. I was
started hitting you.
I was yelling at him, and then when you turned your lights on, I like kind of punched him. Like, this is an idiot.
she's saying was why he hit the curb. You said it was Gabby? I'm sorry, I'm really bad. It was Gabby?
Yeah.
Okay. You okay, Gabby? Do you have medication for anxiety you take or anything? Do you take any medication for any,
I just do yoga and
try to meditate and stuff? But you tend to have a lot of anxiety and stress?
I have a lot of anxiety.
And what's his name? Is it Brian? Is he usually pretty patient with you?
Yeah, but it just makes me upset. I know that he definitely gets frustrated with me a lot because I have a lot of anxiety, and he definitely has anxiety too.
Well, that could be a bad combo if you both have anxiety. I have anxiety too, and my girlfriend, my girlfriend's really, really calm, and she has a way of taking my anxiety and bringing it down. But my ex-wife, that's why she's my ex-wife. I'm just sharing. I know it's a little personal, but to help you understand, we would feed off each other's anxiety and it would spiral. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter how much I loved her. It may be bad for your soul. Just saying. I'm not telling you what to do with your life, but if you know you have anxiety, look at the situations you can get in. You know what I mean? And we're not here to be mean to you or anything. Well, there's a first time, and then it usually. We'll see what Brian's saying, but I think you've heard everything now from.
Quick question. You said you were hitting him in there. Did you grab him?
You want to come stand in the shade?
Speaking of the call, man.
Yeah, I know the struggle. So you guys, you don't drink or anything?
No.
Okay. So you were talking to these officers. I don't mean to butt in. I just felt kind of bad for you. Maybe even if you stand here, you'll have more shade.
I don't want
Right?
Weirdo ducking down.
No, I know how it is.
I have a big sombrero.
Well, from when I first got here, we were more worried about what kind of a guy you are from what we heard. But in talking to your girlfriend, it sounds to me like maybe this is not so clear cut. So, did you already give a statement to this officer?
I got this gentleman here.
Yeah. And this gentleman noticed that you had some marks on your neck. Yeah. And she's got some marks on her too. So we're just trying to figure out what all happened. And I know you probably already told your story. This officer is probably going to be the one handling the whole case. Do you want to listen to what he has to say, and and then you tell him what happened, will you? If you don't mind.
Start at the beginning for me.
See if it sounds the same.
I'm going to turn my car, get this noise out here.
Oh, no, leave your office on.
For the past
It could be hot.
week or so, travel around. And the flies here like intense. Food around Brazil for some of that.
We take those to a conference. Thanks. Thank you. You think that you liars like him more? Oh no, apparently they don't even drink. She says that he hit the curb because when Officer Robbins turned his lights on, she started punching him because of the trouble they're in.
So the relationship's going well.
Yeah, he can drink some water. Thanks. Doesn't say super cold, but maybe. You want Gatorade? You want water? I got some water.
Yeah, do you want water?
Prefer water?
I'm sorry, I only drink water.
I don't blame you. Okay. She says that she can only drink water.
Are you worried about her story? Like, should I...
No, you can talk to her. She seems like a really sweet girl, 22 or something, has a lot of anxiety, and from what she's claiming, she's the full-on aggressor here.
That's kind of what you said.
I'd love to go talk to the independent witnesses, and maybe that's what I'll go do. Yeah, there's a couple of waters. Here's this bag. You might need that for someone else.
She wanted another key rings too. And I was holding on to the keys because I didn't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is, I don't have my phone. I don't have a phone. So she goes off that one. But it's all right. I'm on my own. So I was saying, let's just go for a walk. She was trying to get the keys for me. So I was just going, just wait back up. And that's what she did me. And I didn't get, I don't want to push you. I didn't get completely physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit. And then I got really loud and I got started really tension where I was going. Back up, get away, just get away. Okay, so I said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened after that? What got distracted?
Okay, Google.
When you remove price as a barrier, it's easier for customers to say yes. Affirm's flexible payment.
Police, how are you? Hey, we got this van stopped, and we've separated the male and the female, and we got both of their stories. Now that we're not looking for them so intensely, I was just wondering if you had a minute to just kind of repeat to me what it is exactly you saw.
No problem, sir. Yeah, so I was talking to my friend across the street near the Forest Service building, and I just noticed that the couple was sort of arguing a bit, and I wasn't staring at them, but it did catch my attention. And what I noticed is it seemed like they were sort of squabbling over a phone. I want to say that he was trying to grab her phone, and I'm not sure exactly why. And then it seemed like he had sort of blocked the one side of the van and sort of wasn't letting her in. And then the male was stepping into the driver's seat, and she was trying to get into the van, and he said something about why are you being so mean, something like that. And I remember he sort of hit him a few times, and it wasn't like blood in the face, but just kind of like two kids kind of fighting. They reminded me of very mature, I don't know, children sort of fighting. But there seemed like something was off, like a weird vibe. And eventually it seemed like she crawled into the driver's seat, sort of like got into the vehicle over his lap, sort of forced her way in, I guess. And then they were in the car and they just drove away. So I wasn't sure what the nature of the argument was or what. It just seems like there was some sort of disagreement and some sort of like shutting. I don't know why she would have entered through the driver's door. I thought that was strange. And yeah, so I thought about calling it in, but as soon as I walked up to the bar, there was another gentleman who was already calling it in. So I was like, oh, good on you. That keeps it off. I wasn't supposed to do in that situation, but that's what I saw. And if there's any other specific questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
Did you ever see the male strike the female?
I would say that I think I saw maybe a push or a shove, but not like a full-on punch to the face or anything.
Was the shove like was the shove or push an aggression towards her, or was it a defensive maneuver away from her or to get her away from him?
That's a good question. It was unclear what was going on to me, but it did seem like he was. It seemed like he was trying to close off the passenger side of the vehicle and close things up. It almost seemed like he put that backpack or something on the back of the vehicle. I'm not sure. And then he was stepping in and she was out trying to get in. So maybe.
Okay.
I don't. It was the whole thing was off, and so no, I didn't see anything that was like him taking after her or hitting her or vice versa. It was kind of light and they were almost kind of laughing, and I wasn't sure if they were just joking around, to be honest. But then it got more strange as he was in the vehicle about to drive off.
But you did see her slapping him, though. It sounds like.
Yes, it was like my memory is he was in the driver's seat and she has the driver's door open and she's like kind of hitting him either in the arm or maybe on the face, maybe with an open hand, like, hey, let me in, don't be a jerk, something like that.
Okay. Well, you know, your story is really, really helpful because you're an independent witness and we've just interviewed both of them. And what you're saying is making everything make a lot of sense. So I really appreciate that I ran into you and that I was able to get your number and talk to you. So thank you very much. If we need to ask for a written statement, obviously it's voluntary, it's helpful, but at this point I don't know if we need to go that far unless you're around and super willing at this moment. I can meet you and get a statement.
Yeah, no, I live here, totally willing to do that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I can go write it down now before memory fades. Because, like I said, I was kind of just casually observing, but something did seem off, and just wanted to make sure that no one was in a bad situation. So
where can we find you to give you a form real quick? About 10-15 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
Hey, Robin. So I just got off the phone with one of the two witnesses, and I recorded it. Do you want me to tell you what he said real quick? Do you mind hanging with him for a minute? So, let's get away from both of them. So, he said that he never saw the male strike the female. He saw the male trying to lock her out of the vehicle. She even told us that he was trying to lock her out, told her to go take a walk. Said that she was trying to get in. She eventually couldn't get in and actually clawed her way in through the driver's door. He says, I don't understand why she's doing that. Well, I think it's because it was the only door that wasn't locked that she could get through. So she's trying to get in over him. He's trying to disengage from her. I guess he hung her backpack on the back probably so she would have her shit so that he didn't have to engage with her. Everything she's saying is the same thing. I haven't heard what he said, but if that's what he said, it's also what the witness is saying. The witness says, I never saw him hit her. I saw him shove her, but I couldn't tell if it was an aggression against her or a defense against her as far as her, being the aggressor. So at this point, unless the guy's screaming that he needs to go to jail and did something to this girl, it sounds to me like she is the primary aggressor.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with her being the primary aggressor is in an instance of domestic assault, be it a male or be it a female, we shall arrest. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to go to jail. We can do a citation if it meets one of three criterion, which one of them is that we can ensure that they're not going to further risk each other's safety. But the problem with that is they live in the same vehicle.
That's what I was going to say. The other part of it is
there was actually been injury to the victim, which is him.
Right, and I'm getting conflicting stories about why they hit the curb up here.
What did he say why he hit the curb?
Well, I watched, this is what I saw. Saw him cross the double yellow. I was doing 42 miles an hour. I was, probably 2 car lengths behind him, tapping my wheels at him, trying to get his attention. They knew I was behind him. And then after he crossed the double yellow, merged over into the right lane, and then out of nowhere, his phone went over.
So did he tell you why?
He said that she grabbed the wheel and turned it real hard. She said that she was hitting him in the arm. So
sounds legit. I mean, I'm sure if I'm driving and my arm's on the wheel and I'm getting hit in the arm, I'm probably pulling at the wheel.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a little of both. I mean, usually the truth is somewhere in between. He's probably trying not to say that he hit her because he probably doesn't want her charged with assault. domestic assault. He probably would rather say she pulled the wheel than hit him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, unfortunately for her, we cannot treat, just because he's bigger and stronger, and even if he's not willing to press charges, we can't treat this differently than if it was a male on female violence.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to charge her. And we can do a citation if there's some arrangement that can be made to separate them, and then we have to let them know that there's no contact order in effect. And then we have to let him know the only way to drop it is to go into the police department during business hours and fill out a waiver, which, by the way, what's
It's
today?
too late
Thursday?
today.
So it won't be till tomorrow. And only there till noon, I think.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he's going to want to drop it.
Well, the other part of it is they said they've been on 4 or 5 months that they've been living out of the van.
Well, this is really bad news, so let's talk to him first. Yeah. His name's Brian. Did you ask him yet and take pictures of him? Yeah?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So Brian, unfortunately, in the state of Utah, we don't have discretion on some things. Like, for example, if I pull you over for speeding and I want to give you a warning, I can do that because it's under a Class A. It's a Class B or under. If I want to give you warnings for all kinds of stuff, I can. But there's a few things I can't. Like, when I say I, the police, I'm not in charge of this. One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners, and you do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor, and that she was striking you and that you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to you striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we could do to not, the law says we have to charge her. It doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay, but it also says we have to separate, do a no contact order, and then we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And there's a little problem here. Is you guys live out of Florida, living in the van together. How are we supposed to separate you guys? Now, I don't want to take this small 20. What is she?
Yes, a 22-year-old.
22-year-old female in jail.
jail.
That you could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her. We got to treat it the same.
Yeah, no.
So she's kind of in a tough spot. So unless you have an idea about how she can not go to jail and be separated, do you have friends in town? Somewhere she can stay? Tomorrow, if you want to, it's up to you. You can
go to jail?
You can't because we don't have a charge for you. Now tomorrow, if you wanted to get with her again tomorrow,
yeah, take your video.
if you wanted to be with her again tomorrow, because it's after 5, so our office is closed, you can go to the police department, fill out a waiver to drop the no contact order, so you guys can still be together. But she's going to have a court date online in a week or two. She's going to have to show up for her court date online and answer. The prosecutor might drop it. They might say, for example, if you're not willing to pursue it, if that's your decision.
Anyway, I was going to say, it definitely is. I'm not going to pursue anything. I can't say I love her. It's just a little squabble. I'm sorry that I had to get so public. So I just want to get like the checklist of things I got to do to get rid of it. So
if you want her back, well, she'll get a paper with a court date.
How do I get rid of it?
Well, the court date has to be attended in order for them to decide whether they need to continue or drop it. The first is just an initial appearance to say, are you who we think you are? Yes. Do you understand the charge that's been brought against you? Yes or no? Yes or no? The answer. Do you have an attorney? Yes or no? Do you need one? And then from there, she can ask to speak with the prosecutor. The prosecutor might be contacting you and say, hey, man, I know she's 110 pounds soaking wet and you're a big, strong guy, and we understand you're not even wanting to pursue this, but the cops have to follow the statute. What in the interest of you, of justice for you as a victim, what do you think? And they can decide to still prosecute her, or they can decide to drop it, or they can decide to give her a plea and make it kind of go away if she behaves from now on. But that still does not eliminate the first court appearance that she has to attend, which thankfully for you guys is going to be online, so you don't have. So if you're out of town, so here's the thing: if you're out of town and she doesn't come into her court appearance online, they can suspend her driver's license, they can issue a warrant for her. So she needs to play ball and go. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And remember her team, me and her team, I'm sorry about all this, I apologize again. But so she's got her online court date, just to acknowledge that she's her, and then she's got the one for the.
Well, there's automatically right now, there's something called a no contact order in place.
Yeah,
From this point forward until tomorrow, If you wish to drop it, you have to go into the 217 East Center Street, Mall City Police Department, and you have to ask them. We'll give it to you. You want to fill out a waiver that you're requesting a waiving of the contact order, the no contact order. The no contact order means she cannot come into contact with you, she cannot talk to you, she cannot text you, she cannot go onto any premises that you're occupying, she cannot go to your vehicle. And until you drop that, or until court date, if you don't drop it, it stays in effect until midnight on the day of court. And then that gives you time to get a protective order, a long-term one if you feel like you need one. But it sounds like you don't even want this one. So tomorrow, they open at 8, you can go into the police department, you can fill out the waiver, they can remove it, then you can say, hey babe, where you at? Let me pick you up. And you can pick her up. Now, we're hoping not to put her in jail, but if she doesn't have somewhere to go tonight to be separate from you, then where are we supposed to
I can't talk to her now because it's separation.
Because there's no contact order there.
So tell me this. Do you guys have enough money for like a hotel room or anything like that? Because what we could do is we'd cite her for this, and then I'd give her a ride over to whatever hotel you guys is choosing.
You can pick her up there tomorrow if you want to know what.
On your way to go pick her up, you stop over there at the PD, sign the paperwork that they're requesting, and then you can go pick her up quite literally within minutes.
Unless you know someone else in town that's a friend that she can stay with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. I don't, and I guess that.
Man, I sure hate to. I don't want her to go to jail.
Will it be, if she goes to jail, it's like that goes down somewhere instead of her going to a hotel, right? If you did a citation, it would be.
It kind of depends. So if she goes to jail, they're gonna book her. And they'll take her fingerprints. It's gonna go on her criminal history, and then if they don't convict her, then it will just show that it was dismissed. It will show up in her criminal history, but the charge was dismissed. If she is found guilty, it will show up as she was guilty of domestic assault. But the charge itself will show up on her criminal history until she gets it expunged. Now, even if we give her a ticket, we're still going to take a fingerprint, and it's still going to show up. Either way, it's still going to show up. There's no way around a Class A. Or is this Class B?
This is Class B.
But they do require a fingerprint on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the other part is if you contact her or she contacts you, she can be charged for the Class A.
Well,
which is a little bit different, but it doesn't help us.
If you were to contact her and she responds to you, then she could get a new charge for violating the no contact order. The no contact order doesn't restrict you; it restricts her. So if you go talk to her and we find out you're not in trouble, she'll be in trouble. So it's in your interest to. Does that all make sense?
No, I'm getting it.
It's a lot, really quick.
No, I'm getting it. I'm just trying to figure out a way.
You don't know anyone in town? You guys been here how long?
No, I don't know anyone in town. If she went.
She could, I don't think CK will take her where she's the aggressor.
No.
It is a women's shelter.
I'm curious.
You can find out. Hey, she doesn't have where to go.
If you did the citation, say she drove off she could drive off in this car.
We could give you a ride somewhere.
I got my backpack.
It sucks for you,
I
but
got my backpack.
You can spend a night.
You want to drive me to Delicate Art?
Does she have a good driver's license? And
she does have a driver's license.
You trust her with your vehicle? And
yeah, she can handle it.
Well, then you'd kind of be homeless for the night around town.
And I mean, I can't talk to her at all. Well, and I've got to do the thing, so I can't go camping.
We can tell her what it is that she needs to do to get through all this, and then let her know what your plan is.
Here's the problem, though. If we take you up to Delicate Arch, you're going to be moving it from Delicate Arch all the way down to Moab Center Street, so that you can fill out that paperwork. Because if you're not there by noon tomorrow, you're going to be looking at Monday morning.
Because it's early out Fridays over the office.
Yeah.
So you won't be here.
You'd be looking at Monday morning before you could actually see her again.
And again, we're not trying to make your life hard. This is written in statute. There's nothing we can do about it. It's designed to protect victims of domestic assault. Not everybody's the same. This is different than normal, but we have to treat everything the same. And that's just how it is.
Do you think you can't afford a hotel?
No.
Very little money we have for sure.
Hotels are expensive here now.
You want me to? I'll call CK then.
Just see if CK will take her for the night.
I'll see if they'll take either one of them. Because then we can figure it out.
This is a women's shelter. Actually, CK will take him as a victim of domestic assault. CK will take you, and they will help you tomorrow.
And you're like a block and a half away from the PD.
Let's see if CK will take him, because they actually they didn't take a guy, but they got a hotel for a guy last time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
CK might get you a hotel. Okay. Now, what she does,
I might be sleeping outside in a sleeping bag.
No, I think CK will get you a hotel. If you want her to have the van, we don't care. It's up to you. But there's nothing we can do about the rest.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I gotta grab my. I gotta think really bad.
You sweating to death yet? You good? I'm gonna talk to you real quick, but I've been talking so much. I gotta get some water. I'll be right back. We'll grab water. Now this is the water. It's cold water. Hell yeah. Okay, Gabby, when you grow up and you're a full-grown man, this is what you'll drink from. Plus it's ice cold, and so I'm gonna drink from it. Sorry. You'll probably never be a full-grown man. Then you do curls. Then you can do your curls. So, look, I'm going to speak to you frankly. I have a daughter almost your age, and I'm looking at you not so much like a suspect, but also as kind of a victim in the sense that you're dealing with some struggles emotionally and mentally at your age. Probably they'll work themselves out as you get older. There's a lot of angst at your age, and I remember being your age too. And hopefully it works itself out. But the stuff you did today that contributed to this, because you both contributed to this, is as a result of your inability to cope with the anxiety and the stress that you're having. So in a way, you're kind of a victim of this. I think you would have done better if you had the skills to do better. But you don't learn skills until you learn skills. And you don't have enough life experience yet to know how to navigate everything. Like I don't either, but I can navigate what happened. If I was in your shoes, I could handle it different because I'm 39 years old. I've been through it. But I've got a lot of life lessons to learn still because I'm like my dad and my grandpas, they know stuff I don't know, right? They can do stuff I don't know. So in a way, I'm just letting you know that we sympathize with you. But based on what you've said and based on what our witnesses said, and even based on what your fiance has mentioned, trying his very hardest not to have you in any trouble, he does have marks on him that witnesses say were caused by you slapping him. And that even you say you slapped him and were aggressing him first. And I don't have anyone saying that he actually punched you aggressively. It sounds like it was shoving in a manner that was probably more consistent with trying to prevent you from entering the van or to get space from you, not to assail you. Does that make sense? So if the tables were turned and he was beating on you and you were shoving him, of course we're going to look at it like, oh, of course she's defending herself to get away from this guy. Well, we're kind of looking at it the same way with him, and we have to treat both fair, even if he's a bigger male and you're a smaller female. The law doesn't say, hey, Officer Pratt and Officer Robbins, you can treat people different based on gender under the same. We can't, even if it makes no sense that you probably could not physically destroy this man the way that he could if he attacked you. We can't treat you different, okay? So all that long-windedness I'm giving you right now is leading up to the fact that if I pull someone over for speeding, I have the right to give them a warning. I have something called officer discretion. But in the legislature in Utah, they have made a law that if we have a domestic assault, they don't trust the police to make good decisions because too many cops have made bad decisions. So they say, we're not going to give you discretion. We're going to write a law that says if you have a domestic assault, whether it's male on female or female on male, whoever the primary aggressor is has to be charged. No choice. You don't get to give them a warning. It doesn't even matter if they barely hurt at all and the guy doesn't want to press charges or the girl doesn't want to press charges. We don't have a choice. We literally have no choice. He does not want to press charges. He says you guys are a team. He says you're his fiance. He says he loves you. He says he doesn't want anything to happen. But we're explaining to him that we don't have any choice in this. So we're trying to get a local victims advocacy group called Seek Haven to get him a hotel for the night so that you can have the van, because they won't give you the hotel because you're the one who is the primary aggressor. So they're going to consider him the victim. So they're going to get him a hotel. So he wants you so that you don't have to go to jail, because the only thing we can do is take you to jail. He says, well, so she doesn't have to go to jail, then I will accept Seek Haven's help if they'll give me a hotel, and then she can have the van so she doesn't have to go to jail. She can just have a ticket. When you get the ticket, it's going to give you a phone number to call, and they're going to give you a court date, and that court date will probably be online.
I have to come back to Utah?
No, it'll be online. You have a smartphone?
Yeah.
So you can. I go to court. You're okay.
Sorry, I've never heard of this. I didn't know.
Yeah. When COVID happened, they switched all the court from in person to online. So when I go to court now,
I have a ticket for hitting the car. or something, please, because we're okay. Like, we're just.
I understand, but we don't have any, like. Listen, if I had any discretion of this, I would separate you guys for the day and just give you warnings to stop hitting each other. But I lawfully don't have discretion here. I don't have any.
Because somebody said something, like a witness said something.
Because there's two witnesses, and then there's what you said and what he said, and guess what? It all matches nicely that you were the primary aggressor, and that the injuries he has were caused by your aggression towards him. Even if he doesn't feel hurt, even if he doesn't want to press charges, there's nothing any cop can do about it. It's written into the law.
I don't.
Normally, we take people to jail, but he's trying to work it so you can just have the van. Tomorrow,
I don't want to be separated.
You have anxiety?
Yeah, no, we're a team, please.
There's no, what is it?
No, like, we're a team, please. It's gonna give me so much anxiety. Can we just have like a driving ticket?
Okay, the very best thing I can do is call my supervisor and see if I'm missing something here.
Because if I'll pay any driving ticket, a parking ticket, anything.
Okay, Gabby,
Gabby,
try to calm down, and I'm gonna go call a supervisor. But I don't think that there's much I can do. But let me see if the supervisor can tell me something I'm missing to make this not happen.
I couldn't handle that. I'm sorry.
If you thought Amazon was cheap, try it with Capital One Shopping and then tell me what you think.
While you browse Amazon,
Just give me a minute, okay? You don't have to sit out in the hot sun unless you want. Hey, so a tiny little girl, 22 years old, slapped her boyfriend, her fiance, several times. He's got a little bit of a little tiny abrasion on his on his chin, on his jaw. They got into a van and drove off. He got called in by two different, well, there's one caller and then a witness. Got them stopped. The story from the witnesses matches the story from the female, matches the story to the male. She was pissed off. She's having a rough day. He tries to separate from her. She's not staying away from him. She has severe anxiety problems. He locks her out of the van, says, you need to go for a walk and cool off. She's forcing her way into the van. She's clawing her way past him into the van to be with him. He's shoving her to get her out of the van, but he's not assaulting her or he's not assailing her. He's trying to keep her out. She's punching, slapping, everything. She's got to be 105 pounds soaking wet, 22, full of anxiety, having a really tough time. Not making excuses, but I mean, it is written into code. We do have a domestic assault here. He's not wanting to pursue it. He's very adamant. He does not want to pursue it. We're explaining we don't have any discretion on these things. We're giving him a no contact. We're letting Sea Haven see if they can get him a hotel so she can have the van so that we don't have to put her in jail. She's really struggling with the idea of being alone and not with him and not having the van. They want to be together. I told her, look, there's not anything I can do. This is all written into freaking statute. I just said the last thing I can do is call a supervisor and see if where this is such a minor. It's like a slap fight, and the injury is from a fingernail. I just don't know if it's worth the whole domestic thing or not, or if it's going to get some trouble if we don't do it this way. Well, they don't want to, but I told them that unless I get some kind of permission some other way, I'm pretty sure this is just statute and that we have to separate you. As far as the domestic assault charge, what do you think about that? Well, I mean, do the whole thing or not? But is there a way to not do anything on something like this? I mean, it's so minor. It's hard to say, right? I'm going to go reread the statute and just see if it fits or if there's a way it doesn't fit. And if I can find a way that, because it really is, the spirit of the law is being lost on this one. It really is. So let me see what I can find. And if nothing else, then we'll have to separate them whether she likes it or not. All right, thanks. Bye. Thanks. Bye. Bodily injury means physical pain, illness, or any impairment of physical condition. So let's see. He's not ill. He doesn't have an impairment of physical condition. And if he's not in pain. Like okay. How far do you want to go with this? Like, you know why the domestic assault code is there. It's there to protect people, especially the reason why they don't give discretion on these things is because too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just wanted him to stop, and they don't want to have to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail. And then they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed. Mm-hmm. In no way, shape, or form that I can perceive does what happened here, a little slap fight between fiancés who love each other and want to be together, can I perceive that this is going to digress into the situation where he's going to be a battered man?
Right.
But then again, I don't have a crystal ball. So I was looking at talked to the assistant chief to see if there's any way to just go less than than the full force domestic assault route.
Right.
And he says, look, I mean, you either go all the way or you don't. And it's like, okay, but under what circumstances can I not? And really the only time I cannot is if it doesn't fit. If it fits, then it's in the law, then you have to do it. So I went and I looked at the code for assault, because this is an assault and has to be domestic assault. Utah code, assault. Now you and I both know what it is, but think of how valuable it is to look it up and read it word for word, especially when what you're doing is going to get evaluated by a court who cares a lot about words. Words are there for a reason. Assault is an attempt with unlawful force or violence to do bodily injury to another. So did she attempt to do bodily injury to him?
She went to smack him.
Was it her intention to do him bodily injury? Now, that's what we have to find out, because it says bodily injury is, that by definition, physical pain, illness, or any impairment of physical condition.
Well, he's got a swollen right eye.
We don't care what the result was. We care about the intent.
So we got to go find intent.
If she did not intend to cause him pain or illness or to cause him impairment of physical condition.
Was it intent and attempt, or intent or attempt?
When you're attempting to do something, you have to intend to do it. If I attempt to get a basketball through a hoop, I have to intend to do it. Intent is implicit with attempt.
Right.
Okay, so what was her intent? What was her intention? If you go ask her, what was your intention when you were slapping him? And she says, I wanted him to hurt or be ill or impair his physical condition, then there's nothing we can do. one way to word it might be, hey, when you slapped him, were you intending to cause him physical pain? And let's get rid of illness because it has nothing to do with it. Physical pain or impairment of his physical condition. Is that your intention? Is that what you were attempting to do? That's what it says right here, an attempt.
Right.
Were you attempting to cause him pain or an impairment of physical condition? Whatever she answers to that question will seal her fate. Because the only way you know what she was attempting to do is by asking her.
Right.
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I command you to give.
Set it up right. Set it up just right. Gabby, this is a very, very important question. How you answer this question is going to determine what happens next. But the only person who can answer this question is you. Think very hard before you answer the question. Do not quickly answer it. Think very hard. When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him? What were you attempting to do? What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me to calm down.
Well, it doesn't sound to me like she attempted to injure him. It's your call. This is 100% your call. I support you either way.
You can say that. Right?
She openly called.
She openly admitted to me earlier that she was striking him in the arm. He said that she was striking him in the arm. He said she was, and that's what caused him to get hurt. She said that she grabbed her. I'm not going to steal myself.
No, she said that too, but she started distracting him by hitting him, and then he probably looked at her, and that's why the mark is on the window side. And she said it was her fault that he swerved because she was distracting him by hitting him. But she said she didn't try to hurt him, it wasn't malicious, she thought that he wasn't listening to her.
So assault is an attempt with unlawful force or violence to do bodily injury to another. The code for bodily injury, the definition says, bodily injury is infliction of pain or physical impairment or illness. So you can go. Now I'm recording, and the society and the judges and everyone can judge me for this. I am looking at a 110-pound female and her fiance who have no means to be separated. He doesn't want to pursue it. She's not a threat to him, more than slight abrasions from her fingernails. I don't care if we use the actual letter of the law to not charge, but I also don't care because it literally does possibly make perfect sense to go full-on domestic assault and do the whole thing. This is your opportunity to make the decision.
Let's do this.
I support you either way.
Let's do this. Taking your advice, let me do crime report on this. Won't charge right now. Won't cite her for it right now. We'll send it off to the county attorney, city attorney. Send it off to the city attorney. Let them screen it and make a decision.
If you send it to the city attorney and they strongly disagree with your decision and they throw a complete fit, you might hear about it in a very negative way. So I would make a decision yourself.
I'd rather be dinged for a decision I made than a decision I didn't make.
Especially if they think you're completely negligent in your decision. Why give it to them? The only reason to give it to them is if you're not sure if you have enough or something and you want them to decide if they have enough. So I support you. I'm not joking. If we need to go all the way to jail or whatever we need to do, all the way down to go ahead. this?
I'm making this decision. I'm going to cite him.
Okay. Would you feel more comfortable handling that guy?
Yeah.
Go handle that guy.
Do I handle that guy?
Go handle that guy.
Okay.
If you're more comfortable.
Well, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other.
It's up to you.
I mean, it's a headache whether I go left or it's a headache whether I go
Look,
right.
another option is to not charge them, but separate them for the night. If they find themselves together again, what is it to you? You separated them. You provided for his safety. If he doesn't have enough sense to stay away and you got him separated, it's on him.
Can't babysit them all night unless they have to go. So it's up to them to not do that.
You can separate them and say, don't let this go off till tomorrow. If we don't let it go off and we hear about it, we'll hear about it.
They're camping in the park tonight. We'll let you know.
And if there's some fighting going on, you already was Mr. Nice Guy. You already gave him a chance. What you can't do by law is separate someone and say, if we hear from you again, we're going to arrest one of you. Because then if one of them really needs help, they may not call police and get help. The law says you cannot, literally, you may not say, if we get more problems with you guys tonight, one of you is going to jail. You can't threaten them like that. If it's true, because it will stop them from wanting to call the police to help. Yes? So go full, or in between, and separate them and kind of give them the nod, the wink, like, hey, just stay separated. It's up to you. I'm going to go handle that. You got very capable help with you here, and I trust you. Call me if you have any problems. SOTT, I'll separate. I'll be en route to that intoxicated now.
Okay, guys, that's all of that video. That officer leaves the scene to go handle another call. I've got to take care of something in chat. Nick's CK, you've got 5 seconds to retract your statement or I'm blocking you. Was it a typo or did you really mean that? Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose, for handling that. Nick, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? Honestly, we will. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But, Oh, it's okay. It's okay, Rose. Yeah. If you're, let me pull you up. No, no, Nick, Brian does not need to run. Rose, you know what to do. I'm not having that. Thank you, Rose. Cash, he's been handled. It's okay. He's been handled. He's been taken care of. Guys, I want to ask you now that you have solved this video. What do you think? Let me know what you think, guys. Do you think it was handled properly or not? I accidentally hit something, guys, so I've got to go back and correct it so that I can get the right thing to get the right footage to post in my credits, okay? But what do you guys think? It was frustrating. It was frustrating. Thank you, Cash. I appreciate you getting protective. Yeah. Yeah, you can go kick rocks, as Rose says. Hey, Hayes, how are you? Thank you so much for joining. Guys, if you haven't done so already, please click that thumbs up, thumbs down, whichever you choose. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Like I like to say, leave your DNA on my thumbs up and my subscribe button. I would appreciate it. They did not listen to the silent signs nor the physical or emotional signs. They did not listen to it. She was a sweet girl, Rita. She was a sweet girl. And I can guarantee you, had she been given the opportunity to call her parents at that moment and say what was happening, one of her parents, one of her fathers, would have been on the first plane to her and said, "You're coming home." I can tell by the way that they're handling this, by the way that they are handling everything, with her regards to her her burial, her memorial service and things. She came from a loving, caring family. They would have caught the first plane there and been there to get her. She didn't come from a family that didn't care about her. They cared very much about her. And how dare they? How dare those police officers treat her like that? How dare they? Do you guys know that there were two 911 calls placed to the laundry home the day before Gabby was declared? The missing persons report was filed on Gabby. There were two 911 calls placed to the Gabby home.
$3.95 a month.
Can you imagine? Yes, Rose, that's exactly. She did not know about abuse. She did not fully understand what was happening to her. And Brian laughed and played it off with the cops as if he were the victim. He never told the cops, "This is her vehicle." When the cop said, "Are you comfortable with her taking your van?" He never corrected the cops to say, "This is her vehicle." He never corrected them. And in my opinion, every one of those police officers that showed up to that scene needs to be on administrative leave immediately. Immediately. The cop that was stupid enough to bring up a situation that happened between he and his ex-wife. That cop that went on to say something about his ex-wife and the reason she's his ex-wife. Yeah, exactly, Cash. Exactly. He should have been honest about who that van belonged to. That is why this started. Good. I'm glad they are, Rose. I knew the police chief was on a medical leave, but I had not heard that the cops were. Rose, will you take care of Hayes, please? He or she needs to be shown the exit door. It's what I said at the beginning of this, Rose. Anytime, I live in Tennessee, guys. Anytime you're pulled over for any reason in Tennessee, I don't care if it's for a seatbelt violation, you are asked for driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance every single time you have an encounter with the law. You are asked for those three things. If those cops had asked for those three things, they would have realized. Oh, no, 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 no. It's okay, Rose. Oh, mail to me. I will sit, Rita. I will go and set up a post office box and and get something and get something set up. Okay, I'll try to do that this afternoon so that I can have a post office box for people to send stuff to. That's sweet of you to ask. But no, Rose. I'm gonna text you, okay, and tell you. I'm gonna send you a text real quick, Rose. I'm sorry, I should have done it in the middle of it. Guys, I want to take a minute, okay? Hey, Shell. Um, I want to take a minute, guys, um, and let you know that if any time I'm showing a video that is triggering as a trigger warning, please feel free to step away. It will not hurt my feelings at all, okay? Um, I did receive some text messages during this of people who had to step away, and that's okay. All right. Hey, Shell, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I didn't go live yesterday, guys. I spent the day with my son. He's 21. He was off work. We went to pick up. We order a half of a beef at least once a year to go in our freezer, and yesterday was the day for us to pick it up. So we went to pick that up, and I spent some time with my son. It was really, really nice. And I'm not ashamed to tell you he's a mama's boy. He even asked me yesterday if I thought it was okay that he was a mama's boy. And I told him absolutely it was okay. Because I know he's safe to come home and tell me when something's bothering him. I know he feels comfortable to come to me. Family always comes first. Always. My husband is actually off work today, and I asked him if he was okay with me going live right now. Yes, Shell. Mama's boy and my kids will always come first. Um, like I said, my husband's off work today. Hey, Auntie JoJo, how are you? And he was watching TV, and I said, "Do you mind if I go live for just a little bit?" He said, "Not at all." He said, "Go for it." Um, so Yeah, I try to be respectful for my family as much as I want to get things out there for my subscribers and things. I try to be respectful for my family. When my son is upset about something, 21 years old and all, he'll still come sit in mama's lap and we'll talk it out. And I love that about him. I hope he never loses that. I know someday there's going to be someone else that he's going to turn to soothe his pain. But right now, he turns to his mom. And I'm proud of that. And I sense that same type of love coming from Gabby's family toward Gabby. They would have done anything for Gabby. Anything. If Gabby had called them and told them what was going on in Utah, one of them would have been on the first plane out there to her and to help her get her van home and get Gabby home safely. Gabby didn't feel like she had anyone. Those police officers, in my opinion, made her feel like she was to blame, and she was taking that internally and trying to deal with that herself. Wrong move. Wrong move. If that police officer had that much doubt about how to handle that, he should have requested his commanding officer come to the scene, in my opinion. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it. That's just my opinion. Now, has anyone heard any updates this morning on the search that I have missed talking about? I'm trying to pull up Brian Eaton or Lisa Chapman right now on Twitter to see. Okay, Lisa's talking about the basically the new video release. And from what I can tell, that's what Brian Eaton's talking about this morning too. Guys, I just want to say, okay, for the most part, if you are in a domestic violence situation, whether you are male or female, reach out to someone who cares for you. Rose, do you know what the FBI went into the camper for? I haven't been able to figure it out. Well, I was about to say the domestic violence hotline Rose has posted. Excuse me. Yeah, I've been checking it too, and they are pretty quiet this morning. They are pretty quiet. The domestic violence hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can go on www.thehotline.org, and there's someone there that can help you. There's all kinds of resources available. Something in a specimen cup, DNA. Ugh. I bet they did get his DNA. I bet that's what it was. In my opinion, that's about the only thing you would put in a specimen cup is something that had DNA on it. Could also been dirt or fibers. True. Um, I believe that he is alive too. Brian Landry's parents are not acting like parents that have lost a child. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yes, there's a good domestic violence resource in Australia that for our Aussie friends that will also help. So maybe we'll get more tonight. I'm wondering if JB will go live around 12:30. Has anyone heard from JB this morning? Yeah. Guys, it's just sad. It really is just sad. And I'm going to be talking to Alicia about it also, just so that you know, and when we can get it lined up. Um, I'm wanting to do a live on Alicia's page talking about domestic violence, PTSD, and depression, anxiety type things. Hey, girlfriend, are you home safely? Miss Alicia and your newborn baby. For those of you, hey, Alicia, we've had some new people come in. Do you want to come back up on panel and give your good news? Oh, you're not home yet? Okay. JB's going live in 20 minutes. Okay. But when Alicia gets home and we're able to talk and everything, I'm wanting to hey Charlene, thank you so much for being here. I'm wanting to talk to her about us doing a live on her page about do you want the yes, please drop the link to that if you don't mind. And then guys, this is Alicia's link right here. Go subscribe to her channel because we are working as a team. We do certain things on her page, certain things over here, okay? Alicia has been dealing with some other things this week. Oh, wow. With expert questions? Alicia, we're so happy and proud for you. I'm happy to have my sidekick back soon. Yeah, go show Alicia some love, guys. Alicia is a very, very hard worker. Alicia does all of all of my thumbnails, all of my I all of my little case discussion things. Alicia does those for me. And guys, she can literally kick those out for me in like 5 minutes. I can say I'm going live in just a few minutes about such and such topic, and she can have me a thumbnail ready to go. Charlene, the second video was heartbreaking. It absolutely was. And the thing about it, guys, it did not have to be this way. Hey, Incognito. Okay, Cash, I appreciate that. Yeah, Larry, she was a really busy woman this week. I was missing her. Okay, so that's old Rose, so he's not going live at 12. Right there, Mojangles just posted it up, Rose. Let's see here, guys. I'm just making sure. Rose, can you tell me is JB really going live at 12? And she's had a pretty rough week, guys. Let's show her some love. He is going live at 12. Okay. I'm thinking about staying live, guys. What do you think? What do y'all want to do? Y'all just want to hang out here and stay live and watch Brian's excuse me, JB's? Sorry, guys, I'm just plugging back up my earphones and things because I had unplugged them. And let me be searching on Twitter for info here. And guys, let's give JB and his team some props. They have went above and beyond this week to show us the information, to bring us the latest news on the Gabby Petito Brian Landry situation. But I do want to say again, guys. Okay. Yes, it will be in 15 minutes. Okay, I found his page just now on Twitter. I do want to say again, guys, I do think that Brian is still alive. Or at least if he isn't alive, his parents do not know it yet because they're not acting like grieving parents to me. Hi, Tia. They're really not. Larry, you could be right. You could be exactly right. Alicia, they Rose. Rose says, to my knowledge, Cassie went for a day. Landry family attorney says Brian's sister Cassie was at the campground last month, despite Cassie saying in an earlier interview she hasn't spoken to Brian. Okay, Alicia, take your time, sweetheart. Oh my goodness. That means Cassie lied. Exactly, incognito. Mo, Gandalf needs to be shown the door. While we're waiting on this press conference or this information from JB, I want to say something, okay? Everyone is welcome inside this chat. This is a safe community. Everyone is welcome here. What you will not do is come in and disrespect another subscriber and or another creator or myself. That won't be tolerated. Good, Rose. Good. Hey, Lisa. Yes, that will not be tolerated. You will not come in here and disrespect another subscriber, another creator, and or myself. It won't happen. I have excellent mods. They're experienced mods, and they are on top of it. And you'll be shown the door. You want to come in here and act like an adult, we can have a civilized conversation. Otherwise, you'll get the boot. Guys, we got to remember, okay? The campground, the Fort DeSoto campground, is on the edge of Sarasota or off. Oh, it's okay, Rose. It's fine. It's off the edge of Sarasota and Tampa area, correct? That opens up to the Gulf of Mexico. We also have to remember Brian Landry's uncle owns a yacht company in New York. Okay? We got to remember that. How easy would it have been for them to get a yacht, a boat, or whatever to him at Fort DeSoto and then he's off? Hey, ISO. Mo is on it just like Rose. I'm just going to tell y'all that. We have some of the best mods in this group. We really do. The best mods. Hi, Lisa. So glad you're here. Thank you so much for stopping by. It really does mean a lot to me, guys. Um, I'm just checking. I'm just refreshing JB to make sure nothing has changed because the other day he kept having to push his back. Guys, give me just 1 second. I just might need to make sure of something, okay? Right. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I'm just checking on my hubby. Um, so not that aware of. No new sightings, no new confirmation. JB is going live at 12, okay? And that's what we're waiting on. And so in about 7 minutes, he's supposed to be going live with a special guest. ISO was opened in 2016. He actually has a couple of videos. Let's see. Can someone please take care of Sophia? I just said everyone is welcome here as long as they are respectful. It's okay, Christine. Honestly, it is. It's okay. 5 more minutes, guys, to JB goes live. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Mo. Thank you to all the mods. Thank you, Capri. I know I'm trying to catch up, guys. I was trying to pull up some things. Let me go back up and see what I have missed. Cassie went to the campground to say goodbye to Brian. Incognito, I wonder that too. I really do wonder that if she went to the campground to say goodbye. Anyone that I missed coming in, I'm sorry if I didn't get to say hello. I do. I'm glad that you're here. I welcome you here. Thank you so much for being here. Charlene, they are annoying, but I'm so glad that I have good mods to protect us. And hey, Sandy, there I'm so glad that you stopped by to show your support. Yeah, girl, rewatch it. We did show the new unredacted video from from Utah Police Department, and I'm going to warn you there are a few trigger warning, few triggers inside of it. Okay, okay. Hey, Peachy. You know what, guys? Irvin told me something the other night, and it kind of stuck with me. You must be doing something right when the trolls come out to attack you. Are they scared? Are they scared that I'm going to succeed in my channel? Guys, if you want to do me if you would do me a favor, I would greatly appreciate it. If there's anywhere on your social media platforms that you can share our channel, I would greatly appreciate it. That's exactly it, Larry. They hate to see another channel rise and succeed. I've got news for them. They're going to see my name around a whole lot more because the more they push for me to leave, yes, I'm halfway to that community tab. Halfway there, guys. I'm halfway to the community tab. And as of this morning, when they did the updated calculated time, I have 2,300 watch hours. I need 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subs to to apply to be monetized. So I'm halfway there, and the sky's the limit. And you wouldn't have to be so intimidated by me if you were nice and polite to your own subs. That's all I'm going to say. Be nice and polite. It gets you a long way. A long way. Thank you, Tia. I appreciate that. And guys, I'm going to tell y'all something, okay? The other night when we were just laughing and having fun and all of that, LFT and Tia from the Decipher channel came in and they supported us. That meant a lot to me. Y'all, I could not stop smiling. Hey, Lewis, thank you for being here. I could not stop smiling. I really couldn't. And they kept saying how much they needed the laugh. So that's why I drop other people's channels too. Other people need support in growing their channels. They do. I love showing support to other people. Talik, you were misinformed. He has not been spotted in Wyoming using it. He was spotted in Pooler, Georgia on his way back to Florida. They have a surveillance video of him using it. He used it basically to get his butt back to Florida. He used Gabby's money to get his butt back to Florida. Or a credit card or debit card that Gabby was given permission to use. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that. She doesn't have anything better to do but to try to come and hurt someone else. Girl, please. I have been through things that would make you run and scream and cry and never want to show your face again. It will take a lot more than you to bring me down. Guys, I'm looking to see because it's time for that. I can't see chat right now, just so that you know. I'm trying to pull up the I'm trying to pull up WFLA so that we are ready to go for if anyone sees it before I do, please feel free. Yes, I even dropped Sophia's link. Yes, I dropped Sophia's link trying to help her get subs. I sure did. It does become it is fatiguing, Larry, when people do that. Sophia, honey, don't you have anything better to do with your time, girlfriend? Gee, I wonder who that could be. Not calling any names, not accusing anyone, but I do wonder who that could be. Guys, if you guys see, I'm looking as fast as I can. It is time for JB to start, and I can't find him. Rose, do you see it anywhere, sweetheart, that I'm missing? Lisa, his family gave him money. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that. Guys, I am looking for JB. I just want you to know that I am looking as hard as I possibly can. If I'm quiet, guys, it's just because I'm looking for this. Makes me sick even to think about this poor girl could be alive right now if it wasn't for those police officers. Guys, I can't find it. I don't know if it just hasn't went live yet or what. But I am looking, okay, guys? I just don't want you to think that I'm ignoring it. I am looking. He has not went live yet that I can find. Hashtag. He has not went live yet, guys, that I can see. What you doing? For what? Hey. Okay. Okay. JB has not went live yet, guys, that I can see, okay? I am searching. I am refreshing my Twitter. I'm refreshing it all. He has not went live yet. He is live. Okay, thank you, Rose. I was looking and I could not find him, guys. I apologize. Let me get him pulled up and we will go for it, okay? Hey, girl, I just saw it. I'm going, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Disappear in the year 2021. It is so difficult with technology and everybody knowing everybody's whereabouts. It's so difficult to just vanish. And Brian Laundrie right now is off the grid. They don't know where he is. So how, I've been saying it's extraordinarily difficult, but just how difficult is it? And where is your hope right now as far as them being able, the FBI and local law enforcement being able to find Brian Laundrie wherever he may be?
Well, first of all, appreciate you having me on. It's not difficult to disappear for a limited period of time. And the ways you do that, simply put, are end any of your contracts, quit using your credit cards, debit cards, anything of that nature, lose the phone that you currently have, and don't tell anybody where you're going. The difficult part of this is that's a discipline that's hard to maintain. And the longer this goes on, the higher the chance is that somebody like Brian is going to make a mistake, step out and make himself visible in the public eye, and somebody's going to let us know where he's at.
Is that where we are at this stage right now, Ken, in your opinion? It's waiting on Brian. Again, if he is alive out there, is it waiting on him to make a mistake for there to be that significant break that law enforcement needs to track him down?
Well, I think so. We obviously don't know all the information that law enforcement has, but I would be inclined to think if law enforcement knew where he was at right at this minute, we would have a breaking news story as well. So yes, I think we're waiting for somebody to give a tip or give some information, or them to identify a burner phone or a facial recognition on some camera, because his face is pretty familiar by now.
Let's continue to, of course, remind folks of the facts here on the story. We're going to get Bryant and Anthony in here in just a second. But the facts of the story are this. Brian Laundrie right now is a sole person of interest in an FBI-led criminal investigation to the homicide of Gabby Petito. But the arrest warrant, the federal arrest warrant that has been issued, is not connected to the homicide investigation that is currently underway, at least publicly here at this time, based on what we know from the FBI. And we just don't know all that much from the FBI because they are the Federal Bureau of Investigations. They are the FBI, and that's just their MO. And of course, we'll tap into everyone's experience here as far as, federal-led investigations here. But again, Brian Laundrie is the subject of a federal arrest warrant at this time that is not connected to Gabby Petito's homicide. It is for, again, using the debit card, the Capital One debit card, that charge being, we have the indictment right here, use of unauthorized access devices. Let's bring in Anthony. Let's bring in Bryant here, again, to prominent criminal defense attorneys here in the Tampa Bay area. I'll ask each one of you here to answer this question, and this is my number one question here for the two of you. We've been talking a lot about Stephen Bertolino. He is the attorney for, of course, Brian Laundrie, and we've been hearing all of his statements, and you've been, of course, I'm sure, following his statements being released out to the media here. And I want to talk about Brian Laundrie's parents here specifically. We have seen with other missing persons cases that if somebody goes missing and there are parents out there that are just trying to find their son or their daughter, they're actively out there participating in search efforts. I know I've said this on stream before. If I'm not a father, but if it was my child, I would be out there day and night. If I had any hope that he was a Carlton Reserve, I'd be combing through the mud, doing anything that I could to track down my child. Or at the very least, if I couldn't, I would be on the front lawn of my home, pleading for the public, please come forward and give us some information, putting the tip line out there, 1-800-CALL-FBI. We haven't seen Brian Laundrie's parents out there actively searching for Brian. We haven't seen that public plea, that press conference, even though we, of course, had Gabby Petito, the Petito and Schmidt families with that emotional press conference that we had earlier this week. Brian Laundrie's parents are pretty much just staying at home and only leaving for the trips that they deem are necessary. Brian, I'll start here with you. What do you make of that?
Interesting point. So here's the deal. If, from a layman's point of view, absolutely, their silence speaks volumes. Why aren't they out there? But if I were the family lawyer, I would say, look, you may be hurting, you may be distressed, just as much as Gabby's families were distressed. But if you go out there and you subject yourself to interviews, subject yourself to law enforcement scrutiny, and you say something that could implicate yourself or implicate your son, then I would advise them not to speak. Just, let law enforcement do their job. Because even though it looks and sounds bad that they're not saying anything, from a legal standpoint, I would be advising them, look, they're watching you. They suspect that you may have had something to do with your son not appearing, not responding. So just stay out of it. Let law enforcement do their job and be quiet. Otherwise, anything you say on air or anything you say to the law enforcement, they're going to use it against you and potentially against your son. So from a legal standpoint, I don't see anything wrong with it. As a father myself, absolutely, I'm wondering why aren't they? But then I put on my lawyer hat and I'd be advising them just to keep their mouths quiet.
What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with Brian. When you look at this family, what have they done since day one? When Gabby was initially missing, they released a statement that they want to stay in the background. Look, Gabby lived with them. She was part of their family. She goes missing. Allegedly, their son's with them, and they release a statement at first that they want to stay in the background while law enforcement looks for Gabby. Meanwhile, their son's the person of interest. And then their son goes missing, and now they're staying in the background again. As a father, I agree with Brian. I'll be out there looking everywhere I can. But these parents have a little more involvement than just staying in the background. Look, they're the ones who said that he left the house on a date. He went to the preserve. They then go to the preserve, and this son who they care about, they find his car. They see the car in the preserve. They leave it there for a couple of days, then go get it and bring it back home to them. And as a lay person, or as anyone looking at this case, you're just going to leave your son in the woods by himself with his vehicle and taking his vehicle home. And then you see days later, after he disappears in the woods, after they'll get his car, bring it back, Days later, they then report him missing to the FBI. And what Brian's saying is, they gave an interview to the FBI. We know they spoke for at least 2 hours. And during this interview, they made statements. Now, as that parent's attorney, their attorney's got to be very careful that these parents didn't mislead law enforcement, didn't make false statements to law enforcement. So they're going to be very careful with anything they say to law enforcement. We also don't know what the FBI has told them. We don't know if the FBI has told them to just take a step back, don't do anything, let law enforcement handle this, let law enforcement look for your son. But obviously in this circumstance, as a person, as human beings, we have questions. From a legal perspective, it's in their best legal interest to stay back, let law enforcement do their job, and invoke, especially considering where they're at, continue their silence.
Engaging a new digital audience here live on WFLA Now. Again, live here with attorneys Bryant Camareno, Anthony Rickman, right here in the Tampa Bay area. Of course, measurable experience here as far as criminal law here in Tampa Bay. And of course, also having Ken Stevens joining us from Pinellas County here, folks, bringing his 35 years of law enforcement and his private investigative career here as well into the equation here. So it's great to have just all of this experience here to tap into as we engage a new digital audience. See all of the hashtags here around your screen on the yellow stripes. Use any of them and we can animate your comment here on screen. So we're going to show you some snippets of the Utah video, the new Utah body camera angle here in just a moment. But I want to get some conversation going here from our audience. And we're going to start here from Twitter. And again, any of these hashtags across any social media platform, we can tap into it here at WFLA Now. It's from Linda Ferg, and I think I'm coming your way on this one here, Ken. Hashtag, hey, JB, why did it take 4 days for Brian to become a person of interest when on September 11th, Gabby was reported missing and Northport PD knew that Brian came home without her? NPPD came to the house 3 times that day and got the van. And Ken, maybe you can just kind of address this comment here from Linda and also just the amount of criticism that there has been there online. A lot of folks online that wished that there was more focus on Brian Laundrie right when he came back from that cross-country road trip in Gabby's van here. We've been talking so much here about the timeline. I spoke to Josh Taylor, spokesperson for Northport Police, a couple of weeks ago, and Josh Taylor said that his exact words were, "We don't track residents." This is before he was said to be a person of interest, as Linda Ferg here is noting. So I guess the question here, I want you to address Linda's question here from Twitter, Ken, but also, should law enforcement have been on Brian right when he came home, or are there protocols in place where they have to wait for certain things to get accomplished and wait for certain things to rise to that level before that they can actively, monitor his whereabouts?
Well, I think the most important protocol is this: active criminal investigations, which this certainly is not public information. Law enforcement routinely makes press releases, but they do that because there's a need to get certain amounts of information out that may help or assist an investigation. They don't do that because it's our obligation to get information out. So what they knew when he was a person of interest, any of that information, that is a guess on people's parts, what they knew and when they knew it. Do I think it's a fair question to ask? I do. And some of these videos, there's a lot of questions being asked as far as why was he not taken into custody and so forth. We have snippets. We don't have all the information, but we have enough to ask questions.
Let's take the next question here. Thanks a lot, Ken. How about this one that just came in here from, and I think I'm coming your way here, Anthony, on this one. Ashley Nicole Campbell, and of course, Brian, if you'd like to chime in here as well, both of you guys, of course, being experts on the law. Ashley Nicole Campbell, hashtag HJB. It's their talk. She made this comment when I was talking about the federal arrest warrant for use of unauthorized access devices. Of course, that's connected to the credit card, the alleged credit card fraud. And Ashley saying, hashtag HJB, that's their gateway charge to bring him in. Once they have him, I bet that more charges will follow, I'm sure. So, Anthony, I'll start here with you. What is the likelihood, in your professional opinion, in your opinion here, what is the likelihood that they do have other charges just ready to go for Brian Laundrie once they do locate him, that they're just not ready to fully tell the public here at this time?
When a federal investigation is occurring in the background, the federal government doesn't broadcast what they're doing. We know in this particular case that an autopsy was conducted. We know that they've gone back to the house after that autopsy. We know Brian's been named a person of interest. And quite frankly, in the federal system, he may be much more than that. What we do know is the federal government has decided to charge Brian with a crime that they feel they can prove at this current time. And that's use of her credit card without her permission and as an authorized use of her credit card. What this charge allows the federal government to do is to take him into custody and hold him in custody, knowing now that he's an extreme flight risk. There's a pending charge. We know he's on the run. We know no one can locate him. When and if he is picked up, this charge will allow law enforcement to hold him, most likely without bond, be transported to Wyoming to answer those charges. While this federal case is pending now, law enforcement, federal authorities, the FBI, local law enforcement in Wyoming, Utah, they can still conduct their investigation in the background. Wait for the results of that autopsy. See if there's any direct evidence linking Brian to the body. See if there's any evidence around the body. And then ultimately, if either state or federal officials determine that enough evidence exists to charge him, then he'll be charged. But again, he doesn't have to be named a suspect, a person of interest. The government can arrest him. There may be a grand jury seated right now for a potential indictment. We don't know these things. And at the end of the day, we do know at least one charge has been filed against him, and that's going to allow the government to hold him while they conduct additional investigations.
Anthony, I'm glad you brought up the potential for there being the grand jury getting involved here. We're going to come back to that in a little while here. Brian, I'm going to ask you have, of course, you can respond to the same question for Ashley, but I'm also going to throw up this one here because we want to get as many comments here going in the Facebook Live and YouTube Live and Twitter comment section here. Stephanie, #KGAB, why have an attorney if you're missing or possibly deceased? And I just want to jump off of this comment here from Stephanie here and ask you about Brian Laundrie having an attorney so early on here. Brian, of course, returning home on September 1st and having an attorney almost immediately. What do you make of that, of course, with all of the many cases that you've represented? What do you make of him having an attorney so early on, before he was deemed missing, before he was named a person of interest, just him returning back to Florida in Gabby's van?
You know, many people don't want to hear this, but it was a smart move. I mean, you know, I can just jump on the last question real quick. It seems to me that there's not enough probable cause to arrest him at this point for the death. We're still waiting for the results. We're still waiting for the cause of death. We know, I think it was homicide at least. So on the one hand, I think they had enough probable cause to issue this federal charge to hold him, as Anthony pointed out, and maybe interview him and maybe get a confession from him. But the absence of an arrest warrant for the murder or the homicide of Gabby speaks volumes again. So, but in terms of him getting a lawyer, it's a smart move. I mean, that's the basic fundamental right that we have, absolute right to remain silent, absolute right to counsel. So, you know, again, lay people may look at it as an admission of guilt. I think everyone in the world, civil libertarians all over the world would agree he had that right. Let him exercise that right. Doesn't look good, but it's a constitutional right. And so, you know, at this point, what do I make of it? That it was a smart move. But does it mean anything else? I don't want to be in that position to assume that it means that he's guilty of something when he may not be guilty.
I want to get each of your 2 cents on this very quickly. We were noting on stream that Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for Brian Laundrie, that being the attorney in New York, who's been, of course, we've been talking about him at the center of this as far as representing his client. He has been communicating with members of the media via text message a lot. And it hasn't been the copy and paste sort of responses. Bryant, Anthony, I know that you guys deal with the media. I know that you deal with us and on our side of this equation here. When you respond, are you responding to individual reporters with individual questions? Or if somebody has an inquiry, are you copying and pasting text messages here? Because Bridget Riley here, #AJB, is it normal for an attorney to communicate through the media solely by text messages? Would there be a reason why we haven't seen Stephen Bertolino over the last few weeks? I'll ask you guys to chime on this really quickly because we're about to play the Utah video here.
I was going to say real quick, I've done that because maybe just there's not enough time. But secondly, it avoids the press asking me that one question too many that could potentially look badly upon my client. So I've done it. Mr. Bertolini may be doing it for the same reason because there's just no time, or he could be limiting the response to avoid any question that he can't ethically answer.
Yeah, as Brian said, you're controlling the medium by participating in a text message this way. There's cases where you give a blanket text to every media station across the country, but there are cases where you want to respond specifically to a specific question. But by doing it in text, you don't have the follow-up question. You can't say that word, no comment. As a lawyer, I hate saying no comment. By giving a quick, simple comment via text, you're allowed to control the dialogue, control your comment, and then move on to something else. The attorney also has to be careful because every time he answers, it seems like there's an additional question, there's an additional follow-up, and sometimes an attorney wants to communicate a little too much, may not be doing what's in his best interest of his client. So, his attorney needs to be careful in his responses, especially considering that his clients have talked to the FBI. We don't know what they told him. He doesn't want to be in a position where he's essentially contradicting what his clients may have said or contradicting the evidence that the FBI may have because he doesn't know.
I'm going to hold these guys to their pledge, especially Anthony there, to the pledge of no comment. The next time that I need a response on a story, I'm gonna play back this clip here for you. I have it now, folks. Let's get now to the Utah video. The police encounter there in Utah has of course been dissected, but now we have a new body camera angle. It's of course considerably long. We're gonna play back some moments here over the course of that here, and then Ken, I would like to hear kind of your perspective here and as far as the police response here and how they handled this situation here in Utah. And then Anthony and Bryant, well, what I'm going to ask the two of you to do, because they make reference here. Now, we're not experts in Utah law. We're, of course, all here in Florida, but they do make reference to what they are and are not allowed to do as far as handling the situation on the side of the road. They're in the field. So I'm going to ask you for all your perspectives, but this is a 3-minute snippet clip of some of the moments of this new Utah video. We'll come back in 3 minutes and continue the conversation. In the meantime, I'll be looking for more of your hashtag HeyJB or other hashtag hashtag Hey Ken, hashtag Hey Anthony, hashtag Hey Bryant. I'll be looking for your hashtag comments here in the Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube Live comment section here, and we'll bring them in here on WFLA Now. Let's listen in now. This is, again, 3 minutes from the Utah video, the new one of the new body camera angle.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, we got a call about a male hitting a female and the two of them getting in this vehicle and taking off.
So I don't want to try and defend myself by saying anything here, but I pushed her away. She gets really worked up, and when she does, she swings, and she had her cell phone in her hand. So I was just trying to push her away. But Gabby, I'm talking about my fiance, right? What's that?
Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? Have a new mark?
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
I'm not sure. It was a... I was just trying to get in the back of the car and he backpacked on the back. And
so, the backpack got you? So, there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him.
You slapped him first? And then it's on his face?
You guys kind of just shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
A couple.
And then what? And his reaction was to do what? He just grabbed you?
Yeah.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you. Because
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be
honest.
honest.
He grabbed my face, I guess. He didn't hit me in the face, he didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why it looks. I definitely have a cut right here. If I could feel it,
yeah.
It burns.
One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners, and you do have injury. And both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and that you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to you striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we could do to not, the law says we have to charge her. It doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay, but it also says we have to separate, do a no contact order, and then we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And there's a little problem here. Is you guys out of Florida living in the van together. How are we supposed to separate you guys? Now, I don't want to take this small 20, what is she?
Yes, a 22-year-old
female in jail that you could definitely defend yourself against. But at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her.
Back here with you live on WFLA Now here, and let's bring in just one of the immediate responses here to that. And there's been a variety of different responses to this video here online. Terry #KJB saying Moab City Police Department video clearly shows that Gabby was upset. Brian, on the other hand, is seen smiling and joking. We see that the very clearly here we have two different demeanors here between what Gabby's body language is like, clearly distraught, and what Brian's body language is like. People have been combing through this here. Ken, first and foremost, I just want to ask you, we've seen this video now. This is just another angle of the same encounter here. I just want to ask you for your response here to what you think as far as how the officers in Utah handled this. And again, we preface this by saying that the domestic violence cases, we know from speaking to other experts, can be extraordinarily complicated. We're not experts here in Utah law, but what do you make here of this video and what you just watched?
Well, I briefly read the Utah statute, and I don't claim to be an expert in it, but difference between the Utah statute and Florida statute, Florida has a preferred arrest policy, and Utah statute uses the terms that you shall arrest under certain circumstances. You're not supposed to arrest both parties. You're supposed to identify a primary aggressor, which they were discussing in this investigation. And I would like to have heard more about what the witnesses said. Was witness testimony reliable? The demeanor of both of them certainly speaks a lot. I don't like the demeanor that I see from him, but a person who's nervous can react in a lot of different ways, and that's something that you have to allow the officers to be able to assess. Again, I think there's reason to be suspect about the action that was taken. A 3-minute video clip and the total time that they were on scene, you could draw two completely different assessments of what should have been done.
And we have the entire video for you on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. Let's bring in Bryant here. Bryant, at the end of this video, it's not in the snippet, but I watched the video this morning. They were talking about whether or not they were talking about protocol here, and they asked Gabby about whether or not there was intent to inflict bodily harm on again, and a lot of people pointing this out on social media, the officer identifying Brian as the victim here, at least at the side of the road, saying that you're the victim here. Gabby being asked whether or not, she was intentionally there to inflict bodily harm, of course, was part of the protocol here. What do you make here of this ending in their separation here, staying in separate hotel rooms that night, and there not being charges filed here against either of the two individuals involved?
Number one, I think the officers were complying with Wyoming law. I mean, it is what it is. And even though we're not experts on the Wyoming law, I think we know enough about probable cause. And I think here the probable cause established, and again, probable cause is that she probably commit the crime. I think there was enough probable cause to arrest her just based on the limited information that law enforcement had. So the question is, why didn't they arrest her? Now, in a way, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because the poor girl was already victimized enough. But who knows, if she had been arrested, things may have been different. But I think that to criticize the officers because they didn't read the body language is unfair. And I'm not in any way supporting or advocating what happened, but based on what I've seen, the probable cause was that she was the aggressor. They said as much on the audio tape, on the videotape, and she, I think, admits to trying to reach out for the phone, and he perhaps allegedly self-defended himself. So at the end of the day, to arrest either one of them based on body language, I think is unfair. But I think that they make the right call in not arresting either one of them and separating them under the circumstances. I think they had to, because again, otherwise they would have arrested her. Who knows? She may have been alive to this day, but we don't know that. But ultimately, I would imagine her family would be suing law enforcement saying, what the heck are you doing arresting my daughter? So it's a tough call. Did they make the right one? I don't know in hindsight, but in retrospect, I think they had to follow the law. The law said separate them and not arrest either one of them. And so unfortunately, it turned out the way it did, but I don't know if law enforcement would have prevented what happened.
Anthony, do you agree with Bryant's assessment there? And then also separately, for everyone out there on social media that is calling on police here in this encounter to be held responsible, held accountable for how they handle, whether or not, again, this is all going to now, there are people online that are saying, of course, that that police handled this appropriately and that they went about this the right way. And then there are those that are, of course, extraordinarily critical, as you would imagine, it's social media, extraordinarily critical of allowing this to just end with just a separation here at the end of the night. So, Anthony, do you agree with what Bryant just said? And also, too, what kind of ramifications now? Are there potential lawsuits or what for people that are demanding that this police department be held responsible here or accountable? What can be done?
Yeah, look, it's easy to sit back and armchair quarterback, and say, hey, this should have happened, that should have happened. When you look at what happened in this particular case through the eyes of law enforcement, it was hard to determine who the aggressor was. And from the evidence that they had established, the probable cause at that time, it appeared, based on Gabby's own admission and based on what Brian said, that Gabby was the initial aggressor. And had we not had this tragic circumstance that we're dealing with now, it wouldn't be an issue. And if you look further on the video, what law enforcement does at the end of this, they say, look, instead of you going to jail, we have a car here from our safe team, or a special critical team that was set up from Moab. And through this Moab policy, if this team is available, rather than one party going to jail and having to bond out, this county allowed one person to be separated, placed in a hotel, and the other person to go on their way. And in this particular case, that's what happened. There was a safety net, a secondary safety net that allowed for separation as opposed to arrest. And in a case like this, when you have the alleged victim, and I say alleged, Brian in this particular case, saying he didn't want her arrested, didn't want her prosecuted. She herself saying it was a mutual combatant situation. She obviously doesn't want to go to jail. Law enforcement can't see into the future about what may happen in the future. And they decided to take this route and separate. And if you look at the very end of the video, they do cite Gabby with a citation that would be equivalent to a criminal infraction. And they tell her at the end, because there's no court, you can appear in court via Zoom. So there was action taken, and the action that law enforcement took at that particular time was within the bounds of their policy. Now, moving forward, do I think that policy is going to change? Without a doubt. And I believe this case is going to have a chilling effect, not just on what happens in Moab, but what happens across the country. I know I deal with cases here in Florida where, in Hillsborough County, where you have a domestic situation and somebody has to go to jail. No matter what the alleged victim may say or no matter what the defendant may say, usually somebody goes to jail. And this case may create that policy where you don't have the separation, where someone has to go to jail, a no contact order may be issued, and ultimately they'll have to go through the court system.
Again, Brian Camareno, Anthony Rickman, Ken Stevens here with you live on WFLA Now. We're going to resume and we're going to go rapid fire here through all the comments that we have here in the queue here. I would just like to take a moment here to acknowledge, of course, that this is spurring, has already begun to spur a conversation online about how we go about and how we prevent domestic disputes, domestic abuse, domestic violence, prevent these situations from occurring and prevent future tragedies. And I just want to really quickly get the 2 cents here from Anthony and Bryant, and Ken, feel free to chime in if you'd like to as well. We need to be better. We need to do better. There's got to be a way that we can be better, and it falls on every state across the country here to have these conversations now, whether it's at the local level, the county level, the state level, or the federal level. There just needs to be more of a conversation. It falls on every one of us to have the right conversations here to prevent future tragedies related to domestic abuse and domestic violence. I think that everybody here watching probably has some connection to some form of a domestic dispute, domestic abuse, or domestic violence. I think that everybody here has been touched by it in some way, and it's a conversation that, in my opinion, just hasn't really picked up enough steam and momentum. And perhaps this tragedy, what happened to Gabby Petito, perhaps that there will be more people trying to carry this conversation forward. But Bryant and Anthony, I'm going to ask the two of you, who does that fall now as far as protocol here? Let's just kind of break down policy and protocol. Does that fall on the state legislature? Does that fall on police departments and their protocols? What has to be done to prevent this sort of situation from ending without a situation where we're all looking back and like Anthony noted, armchair kind of quarterbacking here, weeks later and dissecting every moment of this video. Bryant, what do you think?
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I think Anthony's right. It's going to change. I think it's going to change at the legislative level across the country, and to policy level. It's going to be a situation now where law enforcement is going to respond to domestic violence. Somebody's going to be arrested, regardless. I think if there's probable cause, somebody's going to be arrested. And it may be the right policy to prevent something like this from happening. But I guarantee you, they're going to arrest scores, and it may be all men, it may be some women. Somebody's going to go to jail. There's going to be that grace period where they can't have any contact unless the victim comes forward and says that we want to have contact. And it's going to be a big change. And so within that, the problem is that within that big old net that's going to be cast out there to arrest alleged domestic violence abusers, somebody's going to be wrongfully arrested. So, but I think at the end of the day, I think it needs to change for that reason to prevent from what happened here. But again, we're assuming, we don't have any evidence. We're assuming that in this case, Mr. Laundrie committed the homicide of this young lady. But regardless of what the results are of that investigation, everyone's going to get arrested. At least one person's going to get arrested. And then within that, some people may not be maybe wrongfully accused. But I think something needs to be done, and so it'll change at the legislative level and at the policy level.
Anthony, really quick, but as we kind of get on with the comments here and the questions, yeah?
Yeah, to follow Brian, I think it starts at the level of law enforcement. Educating law enforcement to look for signs of real victims, look for signs of abuse, educating them through domestic violence advocates on what to see and how to make that decision on who goes in. As a prosecutor, I prosecuted exclusively domestic violence, and one of my biggest fears was, you get rid of a case is null pros, the victim isn't cooperative. Is that victim not cooperative because she's scared? Is that victim not cooperative because she feels under duress? And your biggest fear is letting a circumstance happen where you drop a case or someone's not arrested and we see something tragic like this happen to somebody who may have been the victim. So it has to start at the law enforcement level and then work its way up to legislature and making policy that a circumstance, if this is a homicide or any circumstance like this doesn't occur.
And we look forward here at WFLA to being part of solutions and part of having conversations about domestic violence awareness, about domestic abuse awareness. We really look forward to having those conversations here. We have another 15 minutes here, folks, with our experts here on panel: Anthony Rickman, Ken Stevens, Bryant Camarado. I'm JB Buno. Let's get to this next one. And this has, of course, been somebody that everyone's been talking about on social media. Ken, I'm really curious to hear your perspective here from Patty Ray, #HeyJB. What happened with Dog the Bounty Hunter? Is he still around? Ken, you are an expert in locating missing people. If there's somebody who's out there and we don't know where they are, you're the person that they call as far as here in Pinellas County, here in the Tampa Bay area, to track them down here. So what do you make of Dog the Bounty Hunter's involvement here in this case?
I think it's pretty interesting. Obviously, the guy's good at what he does. He's the one thing that gives Dog or Dwayne Chapman an advantage is people may respond to him just because of his celebrity status, and that's a positive. I was noticing on one of the videos of him when he was knocking on a door in a couple cars stopped, and everybody jumped out to take pictures. They may also have information, and that may generate phone calls or tips, and that's great. Like I said before, this case is going to be solved because somebody's going to have information and they're going to make a call that gives law enforcement a tip, and we're going to respond and get this guy. If Dog is able to generate that tip, good for him.
I want to respond here really quickly to some of the commenters here that are talking here about the panel here, and I am very open and honest with our viewers here as far as the comments that are coming in real time. We see the comments coming in about how there needs to be more of a conversation and a more diverse, I think to say the least, more diverse panel of individuals here to talk about domestic violence and domestic violence awareness. And I want to make it very, very clear for our audience, wherever you're watching from, this was to tap into the legal experts here, the law enforcement experts here on the Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie story here. I know that there's a lot of folks that want there to be more of a conversation here about domestic violence awareness. We are going to be having those conversations here with you, but that was not the intent of this panel. There will be additional conversations here about that, and we look forward to being part again of the solution here. Let's get to some more of the comments that are coming in here. Again, this is a panel here about the Gabby Petito homicide. It's a panel about Brian Laundrie's disappearance here. Let's get to this one here real quickly. Anthony, Debbie Farrell asking, #KJB, why is there only a warrant for credit card fraud and not murder? And right now, because first and foremost, Anthony, this is not a murder investigation. Right now is an homicide investigation. What do you say here for Debbie's comment?
Yeah, right now we don't even know the cause of death. We know that it was deemed a homicide. But in order to charge somebody with murder, you have to establish who caused the death and what actually caused the death. And law enforcement is still conducting their investigation. In a case like this, where there's no direct evidence, you don't have an eyewitness saying, I saw him pull the trigger, I saw him kill this person, if it's him. Law enforcement has to piece together the evidence to make a circumstantial case. And in order to even get there, they have to prove, how Gabby died. And that process through the autopsy, through the medical examiner's office, takes time. Look, we heard the press conference from the Petito family, how they're not even receiving her body at the current time because they're still doing investigative work in relation to her autopsy. And ultimately, if there is evidence, if they establish that probable cause that she was murdered, and then establish probable cause that Brian Laundrie is the person who murdered her, guaranteed he will be charged. We're just not there yet. And right now they have one charge that they feel that they can stick, one charge that they know they can prove, and that's what he's charged with. Ultimately, if the evidence supports it, he will be charged with murder.
How about this one here from Deepika Batari, #KJB, and we'll send this one over to Bryant. What if he's long gone? Let's just not stick with Canada or Mexico. If he's somewhere in Asia, like India or Nepal, this just goes to speak that that people are wondering that could Brian be anywhere in the world? Bryant, if Brian Laundrie was located internationally, whether it be Canada, Mexico, or elsewhere, where do the complexities arise there in this case?
Well, first you have to look at the extradition treaty between whatever nation, assuming he's hiding out some nation. And so some nations have a treaty, hey, we'll extradite your prisoner back to your country if you don't impose a death penalty, as an example. Others have other restrictions. So if he's somewhere or he may be in a country where there is no extradition treaty, so he's going to be hiding out. And so, quite frankly, I think the reason why the feds did what they did in terms of the warrant is that way now they have not only a national law enforcement level of looking for him, but also tap into the international resources. So hopefully they can find him there. Because it's hard, as you can imagine, for Wyoming police to call Interpol or some international agency to say, hey, help us find this guy. So I think that's to the last question. I think that's the real reason why they went with the one charge federally, because it's easier for them to hopefully find him. But bottom line, they're going to have to look to see what country he's in, if he's out of country, and what is the treaty between the two countries to see how we can get him back. But if he's in a country where it's extraditable, he'll be back.
I'm going to take this one here from YouTube, from Lisa on YouTube. I'm going to pose it to both Anthony and Bryant here. #KJB, and Anthony, we'll start here with you, and then Bryant, you can chime in here as well. #KJB, how can releasing the cause of death interfere with the case? And Anthony, there's been, of course, talk online as to whether or not they're withholding the cause of death for law enforcement and investigative reasons. What's your take on that?
Well, we don't know. Obviously, when we look at this case, we don't know the cause of death. And look, the suspect is still on the run. So law enforcement's main concern, I say suspect because we believe him to be a suspect in this murder, the person of interest, as he's been deemed, is still on the run. So law enforcement is holding back the evidence. They don't want a situation where they come out and say, hey, we know he killed her in this manner, to further prevent him or further encourage him not to come back. So understand, they're keeping what they have back because this is still an open and pending investigation. And they have to maintain the integrity of their investigation, to make sure they have all the evidence and that they gather everything ultimately when they're ready to charge him so that they can charge him. And it's not uncommon in investigations like this for law enforcement to hold back on what they have until the suspect is captured, because they want to get him in. Maybe he comes in and gives a full confession and a full statement that's supported with the evidence they find from the autopsy. And until they find him, I don't anticipate, the FBI giving press conferences as to what they may or may not have in relation to proving this charge.
Before Brian, I get your comment here. So Anthony, you said that Brian Laundrie, you said it just now, that he's on the run. I want to make it clear here for our audience here that right now he is a missing persons case in Florida, and he is a person of interest in an FBI-led criminal investigation, but they've made no indication that he is in fact on the run. But that, Anthony, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. That's what you believe.
Yeah, look, we don't know where he is. He's a missing person. But at the same time, obviously, we know law enforcement is looking for him. We know Dog Binding House is looking for him. We know that sleuths on the internet are looking for him, and he hasn't turned up yet. So, ultimately, there's no evidence that he's fleeing per se, but he still hasn't turned himself in. He still hasn't cooperated with law enforcement. His parents don't know where he is. Putting two and two together, obviously, he's in a circumstance where you would assume he doesn't want to be found.
Brian, you want to add to that? Yeah.
I agree in terms of going back to the question itself. The biggest collateral benefit to maintaining or withholding the cause of death is if for some reason he did commit this murder, or murdered her, and he was dumb enough to blab, "Hey, I stabbed her 5 times," and the autopsy reports result that it was 5 times that she was stabbed. There's a corroborating evidence that they need to support his confession and to later convict him, if that's in case what happened. So that's, I think, another reason why they're withholding it. So if he's dumb enough to say something to someone, they bring it in as a collateral witness to say, yeah, he confessed to something that only the true killer would know.
How about this question here? We'll bring in Ken from Melvin Jackson here. #AJB. What happens if he's found dead by his own hand? What happens? Will Gabby ever get the justice that she deserves? Of course, so many people out there are, there's a lot of folks out there that want, of course, Brian to be found alive. I think that overwhelmingly our audience here wants Brian to be found alive because they want justice for Gabby here. But what do we say here, Ken, for Melvin's comment here coming in?
Well, first of all, if he's found dead, that doesn't mean that justice doesn't get served. There still may be plenty of evidence that gives law enforcement information they need to be able to wrap up the investigation with a conclusion and say, yes, he was the perpetrator, or in fact, no, he was not. And that could contribute to justice in that manner. Whether he's guilty or not guilty of the crime, one more death is just one more tragedy. And it's a tragedy that she's gone, and any other person is a tragedy as well. Let me add one other thing that hasn't come up in a question so far, but it's something that needs to be considered in this case. There is a widespread assumption that Brian Laundrie is guilty. And frankly, there's not been a whole lot of reason not to suspect him of being guilty. However, many investigations have failed because an investigator determines a conclusion first and then looks for evidence to support the conclusion. And in cases like this, you need to look at the evidence and let it take you to a conclusion, whatever the actual conclusion is.
And I've been talking about that, Ken, too, about how the internet, of course, is has pretty much immediately, almost from his arrival back into Florida, the internet has vilified Brian Laundrie here without really knowing what happened there on the road in their van life road trip and the circumstances surrounding his return here, of course, to Florida. And this is a last call for your #AJB, #WFLA Now, really any hashtag you see on your screen here. Any of them, #Anthony, Ken, Brian, will feature your comments here. But Anthony, I want to come back to what we were talking about earlier. You brought up the grand jury here a short time ago, and Auntie Lynn. Hi, Auntie Lynn. I like the name Auntie Lynn on Twitter, hashtag HeyJB. Could the parents be forced to give up their phones by a grand jury order? We were talking about the grand jury earlier and whether or not that's going to be something that's going to happen. What are the benefits? And to answer Auntie Lynn's question here, could they be forced to give up their personal cellular devices here? But let me preface this also by saying that right now, Northport police are saying that Brian Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, they're cooperating with this being a missing persons case as far as finding their son.
Yeah, so we don't know what the parents have done. For all we know, the parents have already provided voluntarily the cell phones. We do know that it came out yesterday through the attorney that Brian had purchased a phone when he got back from Florida, and that phone is now in the possession of the FBI. So if the federal government or local officials determine that there's probable cause, they could seek a warrant potentially for the phones of the parents. The grand jury can also potentially subpoena the phone from the parents. But at this point in time, we don't know what the parents are doing because we do know that there's a federal investigation. We do know that they were cooperative to some extent when they reported Brian missing a few days after he disappeared into the preserve. So, to answer the question, yes, it's possible that the federal government or as well as state and local officials could subpoena the phones, but it's also quite possible that they're voluntarily cooperating and providing those phones to law enforcement through the course of the investigation and looking for their son.
How about this next one here that just came in a moment ago? And let's I'll bring everybody in here for this one because this is an interesting one. Maybe Ken, we'll start with you here, but Anthony and Bryant, I'd be very curious to hear your perspectives here. And let me just make sure I have it. Tanya B on Twitter, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag Hey Anthony and Bryant. Is there a deadline or maximum time that they would look for Brian? Is it months? Years? We're now in a new month. It is October 1st here, Ken, and the search for Brian Laundrie presses on here. But how long could a search of this magnitude, with, of course, all the money and resources and manpower that's being committed here, how long do you think that this could go on?
I think it could go on until they find him. And what we see now is we saw a very concentrated search in the reserve. We saw a very concentrated search in one area, but we also see that search scaling back based upon active intelligence. And I don't anticipate this being a circumstance where they just stop looking. And whether it be a year, a month, a day, we see America's Most Wanted. We see programs associated with this. We see wanted posters. Law enforcement isn't just going to stop looking for him because they can't find him right away. There are going to be detectives, agents assigned to his case until he is found and located or until potentially he's cleared. So I don't believe that time is going to hurt that. Time hurts, obviously, in finding him, but time is not going to hurt in them continuing to search for him.
Ken, what do you think?
I absolutely agree. The amount of resources assigned might change, but I don't think anybody's going to quit looking for him.
How about this? We'll end out here on this here, you guys. I'm going to go around the horn here one at a time. Bryant, we'll start with you here. Everyone just for a moment here, taking off their expert hat here for this last question here. First and foremost, why do you think that so many people are following the story? I have said from the beginning that I think, of course, that it starts with Gabby, it starts with the woman here in the center of your screen and wanting justice for Gabby. Just why do you think that there's such why do you think that there's so many people following the story really around the world? And where do you see this going here? We don't have any intel that the world, of course, doesn't already have. We have, snippets of information. We have the timeline that has increasingly had its gaps be filled in certain spots here and there. But Bryant, as far as the international attention that this story has received and where this goes from here, and the public clamoring for new information at every hour and wanting there to be a resolution to the story, wanting the facts to come out, what do we say here for the public as far as wanting this to result here in a resolution that we can all get behind?
I don't think this is something new. I think Casey Anthony, you name it, before that, Ted Bundy, even before social media, I think people, it's a human interest story. There's a bad guy, allegedly a bad guy out there. There's a victim out there, and people sympathize with her and the family. And I think they want closure just from it's a human interest story. So I don't think this is new. I just think because of the advent of social media, international news, it has gained more traction. But I remember when I'm old enough to remember when the hostages were being held in Iran. I couldn't wait to see Nightline to find out what the status was. So It's just a human interest story. But because of social media, Netflix and podcasts, it's just more traction. And then of course it has an international appeal as well. So it's just, I don't think it's new to us.
What do you think, Anthony?
It's a tragedy. I mean, no matter how we cut it, there's a young girl whose life was lost. And this is a young girl who's, she broadcast her life on the internet. They documented her van tour. They documented. So she's somebody who I think is attached to a lot of girls. She could be my daughter. She could be anyone's daughter. She could be anyone's sister. And when you just look at the surrounding circumstances of him coming back without her, and then him not presenting himself now, the intrigue behind that about what happened. And then unfortunately they find her body. I think it's a real life, mystery. And I believe that people are following it because that Gabby could be anybody's friend, sister, brother. And it's sad, it's tragic. It's horrific to see, knowing that the ultimate result is she's no longer with us. And I think as a society, when you see the facts of this case and you hear it, it creates that real life drama that people are attracted to. And it's playing out in front of our eyes, in front of the eyes of the world.
Ken, I'm going to ask you the same question here as well, but also I'm going to add on here, you being our missing persons experts, same question, but also the add-on here. Are we ever going to find Brian Laundrie?
Well, first of all, this is the news item it is because now we have 24-hour, 7-day-a-week news. It's on our TV, the radio, the computer. It's on your cell phone. You're confronted with it every single minute and every form of media. So it's there. Number two, yes, absolutely. I think Brian Laundrie is going to be found. I've heard people, I just came back from a trip and I heard people when we were sitting around at different locations going, look at that person, they look like Brian Laundrie. People are looking, and someplace he's going to show up. Somebody's going to recognize that and be correct, and he's going to be found.
I'd like to thank our entire panel here for joining us here, everybody on WFLA Now, taking time out of their day here to join us and have a conversation here on the latest on, of course, Gabby Petito there at the center of your screen, the manhunt for Brian Laundrie, the new video, of course, out of Utah. Same encounter, but a new angle and a different perspective there of that incident that occurred there, of course, in Utah. I'd like to thank all of our panelists here. Ken Stevens, of course, from SIG 14 Investigations, Anthony Rickman from the Rickman Law Firm here, of course, in Tampa Bay, as well as Brian Camerano, attorney of law here in Tampa. I'd like to really thank our entire panel. I'm going to be staying on stream here for just a few more minutes, you guys. You guys can, of course, hop off the Zoom call, but a big thank you to all of you guys for spending time to talk to our audience here today.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, thanks a lot. And let's stay here with you live for just another moment here as we have a conversation with our audience here about where this now goes and how this now progresses forward here. First and foremost, I want to address the commenters about the domestic violence conversation that needs to be happening here in this country. This was not a panel for domestic violence abuse or domestic violence awareness, but that's a conversation that needs to be had. This was a panel, of course, to just bring you some of the expertise from some of the experts themselves. Some people here in the area who know the law, some of the people here in the area who know missing persons cases, but there needs to be a conversation about domestic violence awareness. It's got to happen. It's got to be diverse. It's got to be wide-ranging with people from different backgrounds and different perspectives and different parts of the country. There's got to be a collaborative conversation here about how we can be better. And I'm looking forward to being part of that conversation here. Yes, we had 4 men on the panel today. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to see. And quite frankly, when you're trying to piece together a panel very, very quickly, I'm just going to be honest with how it works here in the media. When you're trying to piece together a panel really quickly, of course, we were just throwing phone calls out there, and it just so happened to be that we had 4 men, including myself, here on the panel here today. That wasn't intentional. That was just by, of course, just the phone calls that we were able to make. But we do know that there needs to be a conversation. If there's any domestic violence awareness organizations that are out there, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to be part of conversations. I would love to be part of a solution, and I would love to use what we have here as far as this audience to have that conversation and talk and raise awareness and be part of preventing future tragedies. So that's what I will say about domestic violence. It is something that I think has touched so many of us in very, very terrible ways. For some people, it's on the fringe, and some people, it's near and dear to their reality. And I really look forward to, again, having some sort of a conversation and being part of a collaborative effort so that we can raise awareness to domestic violence and domestic abuse here in the United States, and really anywhere that you're watching from. It is not a topic that is exclusive to the United States. It's a topic, of course, that applies to all of us around the world, and anything that I can do to help, I'm ready. So with that said here, where do we go now going forward? We're going to be on standby here on WFLA Now with any and all developments here on this story. We've been monitoring, of course, several developments here over the course of the day. I'd like to point out here from News Nation's Brian Enton, as well as WFLA's Marco Villarreal, the Utah police statement that came out shortly before our stream began here. A Utah police statement about the August 12th incident. They say that an unaffiliated law enforcement agency is going to be investigating whether or not the department handled the situation correctly. And let's talk about that here for a second, because they're going to determine whether or not the department and the officers, as far as handling the Utah incident, let's show you, and you've seen the video here, we're showing it here again, this is the new camera angle, they could have handled it based on policy correctly, but then the conversation needs to be, is the policy up to speed with where we are here in the domestic violence and domestic abuse conversation? Where are we in that conversation? Does policy need to be updated? Does training need to happen? Does our state legislatures need to get involved? Do our congressmen and women need to get involved? What do we need to do on every level of government to enable ourselves to prevent future tragedies? So there is an unaffiliated, independent law enforcement agency investigating whether or not the City of Moab, Utah Police Department handled that August 12th incident that you're seeing here, whether or not they handled it correctly. And this is now being dissected by everybody on social media, everybody online who's been following the story. And we'll, of course, keep you posted as to what goes on there in Utah with this unaffiliated law enforcement investigation. We are going into standby mode here on WFLA Now, but the conversation doesn't end.
All right, guys. It seems like that Brian and his team, JP, are going into standby mode. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we have watched today, including the video, including what we just watched with JB? Anybody have anything that they would like to add? They would like to ask a question about? Anything like that? Guys, you got to remember, okay, yes, they only have the one federal warrant out for Brian right now for basically using Gabby's debit and or credit card after her death, of course, without her consent. That came from a federal jury indictment. There could be sealed warrants attached to that same meeting from the federal grand jury that we don't know about yet, that may not come to light until Brian is arrested. They get them on what they absolutely can prove right then. They can prove he used her debit and or credit card without her knowledge and consent after she was dead. They have him on surveillance camera. You got to realize sometimes it takes a little while to prove murder. Okay, they can say about autopsy somebody died of homicide. They've got to prove who committed that homicide. It's not enough to say he was the last person to see her alive. That's not enough to say. They've got to physically put him in the vicinity of where she died. And I do think that they have that federal warrant out now that they know can stick. They're going to use that to get him into custody until they can prove other things. That's just my opinion. Yesterday, let's see about with the federal credit cards. Let me look at it. Let me look at my phone, Rose. About where the credit card came from. Yes, I think so. I did get that. Yes. Yes, they did add an additional prosecutor yesterday. It makes you wonder if they are about to charge something else in Wyoming. They added an additional prosecutor yesterday in Wyoming. It was basically they basically wrote up this thing to say, hey, this guy's also going to be appearing with us. So they did add that yesterday. And it makes you wonder. You're welcome, Mo. It makes you wonder if they are about to charge something else. Because, guys, think about it logically. One prosecutor can handle theft of a credit card type thing or unlawful use of a credit card. One prosecutor can handle that. This type of case is going to take multiple prosecutors. Look at how many prosecutors were at the table with Chris Watts, and he admitted to everything within days of it happening. Yes, the arrest warrant does say that indictment was for use of unauthorized access devices out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, and it was dated 9/22/21. Yeah, I'm okay, Irvin. Um, the news release from the FBI to someone. Let's see. Let me tell Urban to go out and come back in. Okay. All right. The news release from the FBI even says, while this warrant allows law enforcement to arrest Mr. Laundrie, the FBI and our partners across the country continue to investigate the facts and circumstances around Miss Petito's homicide. We urge individuals with knowledge of Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter and or his current whereabouts to contact the FBI. No piece of information is too big or too small or inconsequential. Sorry, I knew I was going to butcher that word. To support our efforts in this investigation. The FBI also continues to seek information from anyone who utilized Spread Creek dispersed camping area on the dates of August the 27th through the 30th, who may have had contact with Miss Petito or Mr. Landry, or may have seen the vehicle. So see, guys, they're telling you right there. They are just they're using that to hold him. Yes, Moab is a different state. But guys, y'all got to realize, isn't it the FBI out of Colorado that's even handling this investigation? This is a multiple state investigation. Multiple. Mo, I think I saw that the reward is up to $170,000 now. Has it went up more since then? You know what we got to, think about this, guys. They have him on surveillance camera in Pooler, Georgia, using her credit card / debit card. I'm assuming it was a debit card because the indictment also speaks of him using her PIN. Credit cards don't usually have a PIN number. So, Slick Rick used her money to get his nappy-headed butt back to Florida to mom and daddy so mommy can make his bottle for bedtime. I'm sorry, but I'm ticked off at them. Okay, 50, 80, 100. No, he will not walk out of court free of charge. Free. Mm-mm. The feds are taking over this, Ginger, right now. There's more than $170,000 in rewards for tips leading to his exact location. Over $170,000, y'all. And I'm sorry. I know that there are people who are going to say, don't be so hard on the Landrys. Come on. Mom and dad, put your big boy underwear and big boy panties, big girl panties on. Go out there and tell those feds where your son is. It is sad but true, Ginger. It is sad but true. He ran straight home. He killed that girl, took her vehicle and her money, and drove straight home to mom and dad. It's disgusting. You low-life piece of crap. The longer this goes on, the madder I get at him. Y'all, please pray. Larry, I think you're exactly right. If Watts had kept his mouth shut, there was little to no forensic proof to tie him to those murders. But he sung like a canary. He couldn't shut his mouth. I'm glad he didn't shut his mouth, but he couldn't shut his mouth. Yes, his Landry has very distinct ears. I guess with someone trying to keep his ASS out of jail, he's going to need those distinct ears. Sorry, Rose. I am trying to watch my mouth. Sorry, Mo. Sorry, Capri. Can't sit on my lips. Sorry. Usually when I'm in other people's chats, y'all, and I'm getting a little frustrated, I sit on my hands to keep from typing it. Oh, Rose, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Listen, guys, I want to thank you all. We have been on for over 3.5 hours. I think this is one of the longest live streams we've done. I want to thank you all very, very much for watching, for sharing, for giving the thumbs up, even the thumbs down, because that's interaction. I'm so sorry, Rose. You know how to reach me if you need to talk. And I mean that with all of my heart. And guys, I just want to give one last reminder. If anyone is out there in a domestic violence situation, reach out to the domestic hotline. Reach out to the online. You can go to www.thehotline.org. There's a lot of information there that can help you. Reach out to some of us online. We will help you. I promise you, if you email me and say you're in a domestic violence situation, I will help you. I promise you that. You won't walk that road alone. I promise you that. But you've got to put your hand out just a little bit to let us know that you won't or need the help. Rose, I am so sorry. I know how upset you were the other day, and I am truly sorry. Guys, oh, you're welcome, Rose. I am going to go pretty soon. Like I said, this one's been over 3.5 hours, and I need to get up and walk around and do some things and take care of some things in the house. I love you all so much. Please share this out wherever you can. Please share this out. And please don't forget to leave your DNA on that thumbs up, thumbs down. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you'll look on my page where it says subscribe, where it's got the little YouTube window thing, if you will click on that button, it will automatically subscribe right there for you. Rest in peace, Gabby. Prayers for the Petito and the Schmidt family. I cannot imagine the hell they are going through. They're living every parent's worst nightmare. Everybody have a great day. I don't know that I'll be back on this afternoon. It just depends on if anything news breaking happens. Okay, guys? But I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.